Wonderful.
I'm your huckleberry.
Monday. So good to be back with you all again. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio.
I'm not singing backup. I'm not your Mama Cass. I just want you to know that.
Don't need it. Did you hear those vocals? Grammy quality. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Great to have you. The Rob Brown Show on your radio. The Monday edition starts now. It is the fan upstate. Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo, and you. 4 hours of fun and shenanigans underway officially.
Nope.
For a Monday. Let's have some fun. Let's do the damn thing, shall we? It's not like we've got any shortage of stuff to get to the NFL draft over the weekend. And then, of course, a crop of UDFAs and regular FAs. Lots of FAing going on around here.
Stop with all the initials and stuff and tell people that you're talking about free agents.
Well, I mean, the people listening to this show, they know ball. They know that a UDFA is an undrafted free agent. And that an FA is a free agent. And that FNA, Cotton, is a bad deal.
Because there are some people that they just moved here and maybe they're taking their kids to
They
school
just moved here.
Yeah.
They came from a place where they don't know what UDFA is.
Not everyone's into sports and they turn around and go, oh, this guy has an interesting voice. What in the world is he talking about?
I've heard that before. You have an interesting voice. I agree.
So what in the world is he talking about?
I've heard that too. A crop of UDFAs, undrafted free agents, and regular FAs, which of course means regular free agents signing with NFL teams over the weekend. We're going to talk about those because there's one that signed yesterday with the Carolina Panthers that I'm very interested in seeing how it plays out.
I just clicked on my X and Dan Morgan's staring at me. It is so scary.
Get your bleep together, buddy. If you're catching laser eyes from old Dan Morgan.
Sorry, Dan. I'm going to do better, man.
Yeah.
Really, I am. I know if I'm not, I'm off the team. So, yeah,
Get it together. If Dan Morgan's staring at me, whatever I'm doing, I'm about to do it better. I'm gonna make us just a poster of Dan Morgan's face and hang it on the wall to collectively inspire us to stop sucking.
You know what you got to do? It can't be one wall. It's got to be Dan on every wall.
We need a Dan Morgan fathead.
So everywhere you turn, Dan is looking at you.
We need 4 Dan Morgan fatheads, one for every corner.
It's
of the
not
office.
just for us. It's for Diesel and Cole also.
I feel like it's for anybody who sees it. Even if you don't even have to know who Dan Morgan is. You just see Dan Morgan face, and it's like, oh, I should be better. I should be better than I'm being right now. So we'll talk some NFL coming up on the show. NBA, got to get into that because the opening round of the playoffs, if it's gonna take 6 weeks to complete, we got to find a way to make them more competitive.
Come on, baseball guy. It's not
Does this? We are a week and a day in.
I got to admit,
and we have 4 games played.
I can't remember if it's 5 or 7 games in the first round.
It's 7.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
But we had 4 games yesterday. At the conclusion of all 4 games have a 3-1 series advantage for one team or the other. And for the record, that surprises me about a couple. It does honestly surprise me that the Timberwolves are up 3-1 on the Lakers, for instance. Now, that's not to say that I am surprised that the Timberwolves are going to win this series, just so we're clear, because in the West, I said coming into these playoffs, there are 8 teams that have made the Western Conference playoffs, 7 of them can win the Western Conference Finals. The only one I did not think could, honestly, was the Memphis Grizzlies. I thought that they were just outmanned, outgunned, and outplanned. But I thought they were set. So it doesn't shock me that, say, the T-Wolves are up on the Lakers. It just shocks me that none of these series feel particularly competitive, and they're going to take legitimately up to 2 weeks to complete one series of basketball, right?
You know,
2 weeks.
The draft just happened, so we got no football until, for a while. So good. So you want this over with now, and I want it to stretch because it's sports and it's entertaining. And when it's over, all we have is baseball. And fine for you, not for a lot of other people.
Well, first off, that's not true. We'll have NASCAR. We have the Stanley Cup playoffs going on. We have golf.
When
all
basketball
season.
is over, the Stanley Cup will also be over.
The Stanley Cup rips through their playoffs faster than the NBA does. The Stanley Cup. The Stanley Cup, I think, is like a week and a half before the NBA Finals. And again, it's not. Let me be clear. This isn't a I want it over with. This is a in 2 weeks. Instead, it feels good right now because we have, 2, 3, 4 games any given night. But in 2 weeks, when we get done with the second round, we're going to have 1 game a night with every third night, no games at all. And those series are still going to take 2 weeks. Like, it doesn't feel like it right now because we have days like yesterday where we had 4 games back to back, which I will acknowledge was great. The wife and I did nothing yesterday. I sat in the Bro Cave and watched basketball, hockey, NASCAR, and golf all day. That's all well and good. In a week and a half from now, in 2 weeks from now, when the series are taking 2 weeks to play 7 games, and it's like, there's 1 game tonight, there's 1 game tomorrow, then we're off for 2 days, then there's 1 game, then there's 1 game. It feels like there's a better way to do this because the other angle of this is, and maybe I'm overreading it, but no, I'm not. I've been doing this a long time. I'm absolutely right. The other aspect of this is, America as a country has the attention span of a goldfish. And when these playoffs drag out for this long and take this long to complete, by the time we get around to the end of them, like, a lot of people have checked out. And I don't want that.
Yeah, but I just checked because I was curious about this. So as these end in June.
In June?
Yeah, in June.
It is April 28th.
Which they usually take that long.
When's the NBA Finals? What's if we go to Game 7? What's the NBA Finals finale? Do you have the exact dates or just?
I do not. I was looking when the NFL mandatory OTAs are, and they are in June. So we go from NBA to mandatory OTAs, which unfortunately there'll be injuries, there'll be stories, there'll be all that kind of stuff. Then we'll have a little bit of an off period. Then it'll be football again. So I'm trying to get to football here, and basketball is going to get me a little bit closer.
Here is the thing, and this is going to, by the way, June 5th are when the NBA Finals start. If there is a Game 7, that will be June 22nd. That is damn near 2 months from now.
All right.
It is April 28th.
The only way that bothers me if it's like the Knicks and Golden State in the finals.
Just because you don't like them?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I just said bothers me. That means bothers me.
Well, no, I mean, it could bother you because you don't think those are good teams, or it could bother you because they're not entertaining.
I hate both those teams. So that's worst case scenario for me.
I don't have any dogs left in the proverbial fight. There's some teams I like more than others, but most of them are down in their series. Like, I kind of like Orlando. They're fun.
Once Luka goes out, I'm probably going to root for Cleveland.
I'm shocked you don't root for Cleveland anyway. Being a bucknut guy, a horse chestnut guy.
No, if you're from Columbus, you don't necessarily root for Cincinnati or Cleveland.
Oh, got it. I didn't know if there was like statewide solidarity.
If you live in Columbia, do you root for Clemson? Because it's in the same state.
Yeah, but you're talking about the same thing at that point. I'm talking about across. Like, if you grew up in Greenville, you probably root for Charlotte.
as that one famous NBA guy whose name I forget now, but I picture him, said Cleveland. Why would I want to be in Cleveland?
Fair enough. Game 7 of the NBA Finals, if it happens, would be June 22nd. And for the record, that is 2 weeks and 3 days just after the series starts. That is 7 games spread out across 17 days. Like, it just takes too long. That's all there is to it.
How long does it now take to complete the national championship game in college football? I mean, from week 1 till the end.
I mean,
how many weeks is that?
Listen, I agree. It's too far apart. I don't disagree, especially if we have, let's say, one team that is a power football team it's all veers and isos, and the other team is timing, rhythm, right? Samba, bra-ta-ta-ta, little dancey rhythm. If I got that kind of football team, I don't want them waiting 6 freaking weeks to play their playoff games. And it'll be faster now with the playoff games. But again, we're also comparing apples to oranges here. They do the whole NCAA tournament. The whole tournament takes place in a week and a half? The NBA takes 6 months to do their postseason. It's too long. And especially if we're going to get to a point where we got the Jalen Brunsons and the Damian Lillards of the world going down. I mean, I don't know. I was watching. I enjoyed yesterday. I had 4 games yesterday. But get at me and this is not an exaggeration, 4 weeks from now, when we're in the 3rd round and we got 1 game a night, then 1 game the next night, then a night off. Or at the end of that round, if somebody sweeps it 4-0 and we got 1 series left, and then we got 5 or 6 days of 1 game, night off, 1 game, 2 nights off, 1 game, night off. Like, we got to figure out a way to make this thing go by faster. The other angle of this, to react to something that Lonzo said a minute ago, when he said, I'm just trying to make it to football. If that is your mentality, this probably ain't the show for you. Because I got NASCAR, I got golf, I got hockey, I got baseball, and there is no off season.
All right. According to Dove Kleiman, who does some pretty good stuff, the NFL, the first round of the NFL draft had more viewers than the most watched NBA Finals game last year.
Doubt.
Yeah.
I have no doubt. I saw people throwing that around.
You've talked about NFL being king, and absolutely is.
Yeah. And okay, I could have told you that without
and
Dove.
Is this because of the Shedeur Sanders
It's because
saga?
It's the NFL.
Right.
I mean, it's because it's the NFL.
Which is why I'm trying to get to the NFL, Rob.
I mean,
I'm trying to get back to football.
That's fine. But you're a football fan. I'm a sports fan. As we've said on the show, I'm a sports guy.
I also love the NBA, which is what we were talking about.
Well, then why are you?
You're complaining about it lasting too. You're the one who sounds like not an NBA fan. Well, why is it going so long? It just why do they need all that time?
Okay, I didn't say that. So let's not inject arguments I didn't make.
Okay.
What I said was
it took too long.
What I said was,
if you said it took too long, that means you're saying why do they need all that time?
No, what I said was it is literally 2.5 months of the playoffs.
So?
And what I said was when we get into series 2 and 3 and 4, there are going to be nights where we do not have basketball. There's just going to be nights where there's nothing happening. There'll be 2 or 3 series that need to be played, but then nothing happening. It's not a I'll blow it up and start it over. If anything, it's hey, let's maybe cut the number of teams that make the playoffs down, right? Like let's cut the number of teams that go in down. We could cut the NBA playoffs in half and not lose a team that doesn't look non-competitive in round 1. But I'm not even asking for that. I'm just simply saying.
Is this your people complaining about baseball being too long argument? Is that
No.
what this is? Because it sounds very familiar.
No, it's absolutely not. This is it is 2.5 months of playoffs. And it's not like, look at this round itself. This round, by and large, there has been like 2 competitive series. There's like 2 competitive series right now.
Excuse me, Rob, but if there are only 2 competitive series, some series would be over. There's only 1 series over now, right?
Let's see here. The Thunder have won their series 4-0. The Nuggets Clippers is a competitive series and interesting. Okay, 2 competitive series. Rockets Warriors is pretty good. I really thought it wasn't going to be because when Jimmy Buckets didn't play, I assumed Houston was going to go up 3-1. Turns out they didn't. Golden State up 2-1 in that one. Lakers Timberwolves. I mean, Minnesota leads the series 3-1.
So you're saying these games aren't competitive. You're saying the game yesterday was not competitive.
So what I was about to say was the Timberwolves lead this series 3-1, but it's been pretty competitive series. Cavaliers up 3-0 on the Heat, obviously not competitive. Pacers up 3-1 on the Bucks. No, not a competitive series. It's been chippy, but not competitive. The Knicks up 3-1 on the Pistons, with the exception of one big-time Cade Cunningham game. That hasn't been competitive. Might be now, because we got to find out what's up with Jalen Brunson, who left the game yesterday with a lower leg injury. He would return, ended up with, 43 or something on one wheel, which is absolutely ridiculous. And then Celtics Magic. Boston leads that series 3-1, and it's not competitive. So the only thing I'm saying is it just takes too bleeping long. That's all. Like, it's such I'm going to watch every round. I'm going to watch as many games as I can get my eyeballs on, but I got to be checked into the NBA playoffs for 2 freaking months.
I woke up this morning, feel like an old man. Then I came here and you're talking like one. And it's like, dude, come on. It's more sports. Why are you complaining about more sports?
Is that what I've said? I have no idea am I speaking English this morning? That's not what I said. Yes, I want less sports in my life as a sports talk radio show host. That's clearly what I want.
If you're saying it goes too long, then you want it to be shorter. By definition, shorter is less. That means you want less.
No, Lonzo. Shorter is not less. Less is less. Shorter is shorter. They're different words for a reason. They have different definitions. You can play the same number of games in less time. That's how shorter and less work.
I hope you make more sense when we come back from a break.
How does that not make sense? If I play 7 games, it's the same amount of games if I play it in 7 days or 42. It's still 7 games.
All right, so you didn't explain it clearly enough because I didn't catch that part.
Probably because you were busy trying to make me say things I didn't say.
No.
All I'm saying is speed it up. Let's go.
All I'm saying is clarity.
Let's go.
Clarity. And
this ain't hockey. Let's go.
If you had been more clear, I'd have been quiet.
Get it together. Come on. You don't need 4 days off to travel, boys. It's basketball, not hockey.
All right, your snapping is loud enough to go over the mic. Way to go, you.
That was the goal. It's we in the business call it FX, not FX. FX. That's how you type it in to make it show up.
TV channel.
Rob Alonso and you, the Rob Brown Show, Monday morning edition, full speed ahead. This is the Fan Upstate. It's a Stanley Cup. Yes, but that's hockey. I expect dudes to play a full game of hockey like Brady Tkachuk, taking a puck off the face, getting 17 stitches across his face, losing 2 teeth, and playing the next night.
This is
going to have a day or 2 off.
This is going to be a yes, Rob. You're absolutely right day. That's what it's going to be. Yeah. Yes, it's going to be very boring. Wow. I mean, put an EOM on the end of that. That was except there were no seconds left.
EOM? End of margin?
It causes things to overlap.
Yeah. I'm trying to put I can't figure out what the end is.
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I probably knew it one time, but I don't know now.
Bundling, just another way to save with the personal price plan. Like your neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state. You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part? Yeah, been there. That's why eBay is my go-to. They've got millions of parts guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for when you once have seen one too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters, because you don't mess around with your engine kit. Even got this cold air intake on my watch list. I might just go for it.
According to MFL Football, Bills draft pick Chase Lunt received 5 different prank calls throughout the draft before finally getting.
Who was the other guy? There was another player who got one too.
Well, Shedeur did.
Shedeur,
Yeah.
no, Shedeur,
And that
Shedeur
guy's
got one.
already apologized. The guy who did it.
Well, you see who it was?
Yeah. Definitely interesting. And also the end of the Lakers game was it was a mess.
Yes, it was. So, obviously, we have to talk about Shedeur Sanders. 5th round selection, number 144 overall. And there are, by and large, 2 schools of thought as to why it is that Shedeur Sanders dropped as far as he did. I think there's probably 3. There's school of thought number 1, which is that Shedeur Sanders just isn't that good. On Saturday, right before we started Bet for the Cycle, right before I started the Saturday show, the University of Colorado, as everyone else does, or was sending out social media posts about Shedeur Sanders. One of the ones that they sent out was a 9-minute and 21-second video that they had very clearly clipped together as a reaction to Shedeur's drop down the draft board of Shedeur Sanders highlights. Because I am a masochist and do not care about my own health and well-being, I watched all 9 minutes and 21 seconds of that highlight reel before I started the show on Saturday.
It does seem pretty lengthy. You watched the whole thing.
I watched not just watched it, actually broke the whole film down. I went play by play, each one of them. And what I will tell you is there were 9 minutes and 21 seconds of highlights, of which I would say about 4.5 minutes were Travis Hunter highlights, and it just happened to be Shedeur Sanders throwing the football. About 2 minutes was just stuff I expect a quarterback to be able to do. Usually, and this has been drilled into our skull for a very long time, usually when you're going to have a take, get to it. Get to it.
You expected highlights like what's your guy's name? Tyler Show.
Tyler Shock.
Yeah. All the highlights I saw of him were him missing people by like 10 feet in the combine and stuff like that.
Sure.
It's what I'm saying is it's very selective. Then I saw other ones where he was like making some behind the back thing.
Okay.
So,
all right. I'm good with all this.
Yeah.
I would say 2 things. Number 1, go watch Tyler Shuff take on Clemson this year because cooked. But I'm not here to defend the pick of Tyler Shuck. Here's what I'm going to say. If the University of Colorado is going to put out Shedeur Sanders propaganda, 9 minutes and 21 seconds, that I should watch one that at the end I go, that is clearly all the best plays from the season.
So no other schools do that? It was just Colorado? I'm legitimately asking.
I know, and I'm trying. I'm going to get there.
Okay.
9 minutes, 21 seconds. About 4.5 minutes of it were Travis Hunter highlights. Shedeur did nothing special. Travis was making Travis plays that got him drafted number 2 overall.
It's your thing that you talk about at Ohio State all the time. When you're surrounded by so much talent, it makes you look a certain way that it may hide your abilities. Maybe you're not that good, but you're surrounded by so much talent.
That is absolutely part of it.
Yeah, that's what you.
That is absolutely part of it.
But he wasn't surrounded by that much. There was just one dude.
One dude's enough. It's college football. One dude is enough. One dude's enough. Like, I don't know how to drill this into people any more than I have. Tim Tebow was enough. Like, one dude's enough. And when that one dude is Travis Hunter, the Heisman Trophy winner and the number 2 overall draft pick, one dude's enough. But then, aside from the 4.5 minutes of this highlight reel, which were Travis Hunter highlights, half of it, not Shedeur Sanders highlights, then there was a solid 2 minutes of plays that were just stuff I expect a quarterback be able to do. The very first play on this highlight reel, the very first play they showed, if I'm going to put together Shedeur Sanders propaganda to try to help get him drafted, and for the record, good on Colorado for doing it, yeah? Good on them for they should be willing to do that. I want to know that they're willing to put in that effort to try to get their guys into the league. If I'm a young player and Colorado is making that effort, I'm probably more interested. The very first play that they showed on this 9 minute and 21 second please draft our guy propaganda video was like a bubble screen out to the right to a wide open running back. That's what you're giving me. That's when you have to have something flashy right out of the gate to get people's attention. The very first play you put on this tape should not be probably the easiest throw to make in football to a guy who's wide open. It probably shouldn't be the easiest throw in football. And then I went through and I'm looking at the comments, and one guy was like, well, if Shedeur Sanders wasn't such a threat to run the ball, that running back wouldn't have been. It's a bubble screen. It's a bubble screen. The bubble screen is designed to get the running back open and give him at the worst a 1v1 on the outside. That's what that play is. There was nothing special about it. And that was kind of the kind of stuff that I took away from this video that I watched. Was there's 9 minutes and 21 seconds. There were probably like 3 to 4 plays in it that you went, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Probably about 8 minutes of it was just either Travis Hunter doing Travis Hunter stuff or, he better be able to do that. He better be able to do that and get drafted in the 7th round. What is he doing to move up to the 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and 1st? So the first group of people that have a thought on the drop of Shedeur are people who said he's just not that good. He's an athlete, and that's great. He's a great athlete. But he's not a great quarterback. And if you're talking about drafting a guy, I'm looking for a guy who looks like a great quarterback. And Shedeur just didn't. The second group of folks with a theory, and this is more the group that I fall into, are the group who believe that the attitude and all of the baggage that comes with Shedeur is a problem. And that's where I kind of fell on this whole thing. I made the point to Cody Decker. Imagine, if you will, that it was the New Orleans Saints who drafted Shedeur Sanders. And I only use this example because I feel like I can put myself into that mindset, as I am obviously a longtime fan. Imagine you are Kellen Moore. It's your first year on the job, the first opportunity you've gotten to be a head coach. And you go get Shedeur Sanders instead of Tyler Shaw. And you come into next year, and you got Spencer Rattler, you've got Shedeur Sanders, 2 rookies. You've got maybe Derek Carr, though probably not, but maybe Derek Carr. And you've got Ben DiNucci. And so you roll out there, and in week 1, you have an option, which is you start Shedeur Sanders right out of the gate. And as much as the folks on ESPN were glazing Shedeur all weekend like he was the greatest thing to come out of college football since Tim Tebow himself, I don't want to say most, the people I spoke with, by and large, do not believe Shedeur is a day 1, game 1 starter at the NFL level. So you needed some time. What happens if Kellen Moore goes, hey, we're going to roll Spencer Rattler out there? He got some starts last year. He did so behind a makeshift offensive line. He did so with no Chris Olave, with a wide receiver core that got decimated after Michael Thomas left. We're going to let him have his shot. And Rat goes out there and in week 1, game 1, has a bad day. What ends up happening? Deion's tweeting about it. The Buffaloes are tweeting about it. Y'all, not taking a side on the political stance of it, Donald Trump was tweeting about it. Do you think if I am Kellen Moore, in my very first job as a head coach, trying to establish my culture and my identity, that I want to deal with having Deion, the Shedeur wagon, and Donald Trump and all of his followers turning my program into a spectacle? Of course I don't. Absolutely, I do not.
In the end, what's on social media does not affect what's going on the field. I mean, if you're bothered by it, turn it off.
Yes.
I did. Oh, I can't believe they're tweeting about. Who cares? I mean, come on, get some thick skin. And that's no.
Yes, because we all know that outside influences don't have locker room importance. We all know that annually, every time there's any sort of issue, we never talk about locker room distractions. We never talk about and say, maybe there's some distractions going on in the locker room. We just look and go, grow some thicker skin.
Well, I'm glad Shedeur didn't go to your team, so you don't have to worry about it. Now he's got like 4 guys ahead of him. So if he's good enough, I mean, if he's as good as advertised, he'll make his way through all the guys ahead of him and become a starter in the league.
Honestly, I thought about it on Saturday, and I'm like, what a dumb pick for Cleveland. And then the longer that I think about it, the more I'm like, actually, no, it wasn't. Actually, it wasn't. It was a lottery pick. If he doesn't work out, they cut a 5th rounder. If he does work out, great. Maybe you found your guy. And
also you say, hey, we still wanted you because they traded up to get him.
They did trade up to get him.
I mean, so there's that too. But if you're as good as people think you are, you have odds against you now. Prove everybody wrong. And then all the people and all this noise will just shut up.
Sure.
All them quarterbacks ain't going to be on that team by the end of training camp.
No, not at all. They may be probably dropping one at the end of quarterbacks or at the end of spring camp, man. Like they may not take 5 quarterbacks into the summertime.
I predict the first move, Joe Flacco says, you know what? I've decided I'm going to go ahead and retire again.
I doubt it. Joe Flacco signed for a lot of money to not do anything.
Did he? A lot of money? Okay.
Yeah.
So what if he's not the starter? He's still getting.
I don't think Joe Flacco cares. He wasn't the starter last year. I think Joe Flacco is perfectly happy to be in a spot where he's going to get paid millions and millions of dollars to not do anything. How long did we say the best job in the world has got to be Peyton Manning's backup? Joe Flacco.
So the most pressure is Shedeur Sanders. I think the person who needs to worry, I guess, is Dylan Gabriel. I don't know.
Kenny Pickett. If either one of those guys.
Forgot about Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, Kenny Pickett's on the roster too. And oh, by the way, Deshaun Watson, who isn't going to play because of his Achilles, still on the roster. But we'll come back to what the pick for Cleveland means of Shedeur. Because there is another school of thought about why it was Shedeur didn't get to where Shedeur thought Shedeur was going to get to. And yes, I am not going to spend 4 hours talking about Shedeur Sanders. But it was the biggest conversation in sports over the weekend. So I do want to wrap it up, and we'll do that when we come back on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
So I spent hours stuck in one place in a game yesterday, and there was a clear pathway. And just walked into it, and there it was, the boss battle that I've been looking for hours. But while looking, I went up like 5 levels. I didn't want to look it up. And finally, I'm frustrated, walking in circles. And I could have I thought the pathway was the pathway I had just come out of. So annoying.
What game?
Expedition 33.
I saw you playing that last night.
Yeah. Which is a turn-based, it's Square Enix-esque, Final Fantasy-esque kind of game. So I'm going back and forth between that and Oblivion. This thing was made by like 35 people and already sold like over 500,000 copies. It's a beautiful game.
I saw it pop up on Game Pass.
It's got Square Enix ties to it, so it's depressing because everything they do is depressing, and the ending probably will suck. But the concept of the game is really good, though.
That's when Jose discovered QC Kinetics and the regenerative treatments that help the body heal itself, restoring damaged tissue and providing relief with no surgery or downtime. Jose's message to the medical professionals at QC Kinetics:
My elbow is feeling outstanding. Where were you 10 years ago, for crying out loud?
QC Kinetics is right here. Call for your complimentary consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 864-448-3772. That's 864-448-3772. QC Kinetics, 864-448-3772.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original information expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. 800-568-4433. 800-568-4433.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. Yodel.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from
We can be twinsies.
to
How was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
thanks, Mom. Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank NA, member FDIC.
Why'd I go to the doctor? One day at the firehouse, I was so lightheaded I could barely stand. Even my crew noticed. Getting checked out was the right call. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go.
Yeah, the Pistons Knicks ending was ugly. The Wolves Lakers ending was ugly. The Nuggets Clippers ending on Saturday was one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen in my life. I don't think I've ever seen a buzzer beater that close. Three schools of thought as to why Shedeur Sanders fell down the draft board. School of thought number 1. He's not that good. Great athlete, not a great quarterback. I watched the 9-minute and 21-second highlight reel that the University of Colorado dropped on their social media. Pure propaganda trying to get Shedeur Sanders drafted.
All right, quick question. All the quarterbacks that were drafted ahead of them, so after watching that 9 minutes, all those guys are better, in your opinion?
All those guys are better. I have elements to the game, pros and cons for every one of them. I think that in terms of purely being a quarterback, who do I trust to drop back in the pocket and deliver the best football? Jackson Dart more than Shedeur Sanders. Yes.
What about Cam Ward?
Cam Ward, I trust Cam Ward is just a better quarterback than Shedeur Sanders. That was never in question for me. There was no point where I thought Shedeur Sanders was a better quarterback than Cam Ward. Now, there are some elements of Cam Ward's game that I have questions about whether or not he's going to be a franchise quarterback or not. But there was no point where I thought Shedeur over Cam Ward was the right decision. So, again, I think it is fair to criticize the games. It's not fair. It's obligatory to criticize the games of quarterbacks that you are considering drafting in the first, second, third, fourth, or I guess fifth round. The second school of thought about Shedeur Sanders is that you don't want to deal with the baggage that comes along with him. And you can say whatever you want, but there is baggage that comes along with him. On Saturday morning, as I have pointed out, not only do I have just a stream of the folks connected to Shedeur Sanders coming out, but the president of the United States is now actively involved. He is actively tweeting about Shedeur Sanders and his genetics, et cetera, et cetera. I have got guys on ESPN talking about, is it possible that Dion could get into the league later and get the best out of Shedeur? If somebody else can't get the best out of Shedeur, would Dion come to the table? It's like, do I as a general manager want to have to put up with that being a discussion? Because again, turn on ESPN this morning. We've got one of the morning studio shows here in the studio. I've been sitting in front of this TV for roughly an hour now. I have seen Lakers LeBron down 3-1 about 90 times so far. Do I want my entire program franchise to just every day during the football season be on the front page? Is it Shedeur time? Is it Dion time? Should Prime move over? Can this coach handle this? Let me give you a real quick bit of audio that I think kind of proves my point. This is from Saturday. This is after the Saints passed on Shedeur Sanders and took Tyler Shuck in the second round.
Do you think it's a fair conversation for the Saints to have? Do they feel that Kellen is strong enough personality-wise to handle a strong personality in Shedeur? I think that's a fair conversation that has to be had.
I will say this, though. Like, he was just coaching Jalen Hurts. And though his personality is different, I've talked to Jalen plenty enough times to know that he's a grown man.
Yeah.
To know that he's an adult. To know that he wants things done a certain type of way. And if Kellen Moore can handle conversations with adults, then Kellen Moore should be able to handle Shedeur Sanders. I think we have to realize that Deion Sanders doesn't get to walk into whatever building Shedeur Sanders walks into daily. Shedeur Sanders got to walk in there by himself. And Deion Sanders can't call and get Kellen Moore on the phone, because if Deion Sanders is speaking for Shedeur Sanders, he can't go lead a locker room full of fathers.
Right.
And so to me, it's not a question about whether or not he can deal with him as a person. It's about, can you have an adult conversation with a man that's supposed to do a job professionally? And if he doesn't do that job professionally, guess what? He ain't a first-round draft pick. He doesn't have to be here any longer. If the film says you can be a starting quarterback for me, and we feel we can build an infrastructure around you, I'm not about having this conversation of, is your personality strong enough? Because if it's not, you should not be a head coach in the NFL.
All right. That's my point. If I'm Kellen Moore, if I'm Mickey Loomis, whose job is, well, it's not in question because whatever, huge list of reasons I'll circle back around to later. But do I want that conversation around my team? Did you notice in all that? Ryan Clark, who I like Ryan Clark, so that we're clear. Ryan Clark started his argument with, well, if the tape shows that you can be a starting NFL quarterback. He started with the assumption that everybody agrees that the tape shows that. which is unfair. Like, the first key to the argument is you got to make the argument that Shedeur Sanders is going to be. That the tape clearly shows that Shedeur Sanders is indeed a guy talented enough to be a starting quarterback for the NFL. And I got news for Ryan Clark. Not everybody agrees with that. Not just general managers, just people in general. Not everybody agrees with that. And then the conversation turned into what? Was it the pros and cons of Shedeur Sanders? What he does well and does not do well? What he adds to a locker room? No. The conversation immediately was, sounds to me like Kellen Moore's not enough of a grown-up to hit. What? The man's a head coach in the National Football League. He just won a Super Bowl as an offensive coordinator literally 2 months ago, 3 months ago, whatever it was. That's what I'm saying when I say I don't want all the baggage. The Saints don't draft Shedeur Sanders. It's like Orlovsky and Ryan Clark. Again, both of whom I like. It's like they took that very personally, dog. Like, they took it real personally. Oh, Kellen Moore's clearly not adult enough to have it. What if he just doesn't want Shedeur on the team? What if he just doesn't want to deal with it? Because Clark then said, well, Dion can't walk in that building. He can't just walk. He can't just call and get Kellen Moore on the phone. Sure, that's true. You know what he can do? Tweet it out to his millions of followers. And if you watched social media this weekend, you are very aware that if the rallying call is sent out, the Shedeur fan club starts making some noise. And I don't fault them for it. But outside voices have an influence. These players you're talking about, like I know Ryan Clark wants to make them all sound like just the doodliest dudes. I was a locker room full of fathers. I've been around NFL players. A lot of them are real dumb. All right? Like, they're smart when it comes to playing football, but a lot of them are real dumb. They are influenced by outside voices as much as anybody else. How many conversations have we had? Last year, we had a situation in Pittsburgh where Russell Wilson was the starter. Then he got hurt. Justin Fields goes in. Justin Fields ends up getting sat back down for Russell Wilson. Lonzo came in here every day and said, you're splitting your locker room. You're dividing your locker room. You know what he didn't say? The guys who want Justin Fields, they just need to get some thicker skin and grow up and be professionals. We didn't say that because that's not how it works. And we all know that.
We were not talking about outside influences. We're talking about the people in the locker room. That's different. The actual players. Oh,
so when it comes to influence in the locker room, it's okay to have thin skin and be split and polarized. It's only if someone outside the program talks.
I never said it was okay for either situation.
That's my point. The point here is we know no matter how unprofessional it is, immature it is, whatever words you want to use, locker rooms divide, they split, they polarize. And there's going to be some dudes in there that are going to listen to outside voices and some dudes that aren't. And you really hope that the louder folks in the rooms are the leaders, are the professionals. But why light the fuse to a keg of dynamite and then hope that somebody else puts it out for you? Why not just not light it, right? Just don't light it. And I feel like that's what we're talking about here. So I had a couple of problems with that take from really Orlovsky set Ryan Clark up for it, and Clark ran with it. And again, I like Ryan Clark. I think he's a good artist. But this whole thing was, instead of saying, okay, let's evaluate why Shedeur is still on the board and the Saints went with Tyler Shook. Let's evaluate why. What'd they do? Kellen Moore's a baby. He's immature. He's unprofessional. He can't handle adult conversations. What? He just got hired to be the head coach of an NFL team. What? It's silly. So why would I want to create a world where there's Ryan Clarks out there that are willing to throw you under the bus? And oh, by the way, Dion ain't said a word about it yet. But you know good and gosh darn well he's going to. The minute that there is one struggle out of your quarterback, Dion's going to push send on a tweet that says, Shedeur can change your franchise. Shedeur can change your culture. Shedeur can. And then the Dionites, brother, the Shedoriacs are going to come out of the woodworks. And your locker room is 100% going to get split and influenced by that. Why would I put myself in that in the first place? There's one more take that I heard, and this is one that is uncomfortable, and I think it's got to be discussed because it is a big time conversation point and a fair one. I saw Acho on FX1 or FS1 say the reason Shedeur dropped is because he's a young, confident black guy. And the old white GMs don't like that. Effectively claiming Shedeur didn't get drafted where everybody, I'm air quoting that, everybody thought he was going to get drafted because the NFL's racist. Let's be real clear. I absolutely believe that there are elements of racism left and ingrained in the NFL. I absolutely believe that. I absolutely believe that the NFL should be working even harder than they are to try to eliminate that. I absolutely believe that that is a real thing that is pervasive in American culture, without a doubt. Here's my thought. Because Acho said Shedeur was unwilling to code shift, to signal shift, to sound and talk whiter to appease GMs. If you're going to have that take, Acho, then you need to accuse Cam Ward of doing that, right? Like if your number one reason that Shedeur Sanders dropped was because you believe he's too black for NFL GMs that are white, that he did not shift his tone of conversation, he did not shift his vernacular, he did not shift his lingo, whatever you want to say, that he didn't get rid of the blackness, I believe was his words, then you have to say Cam Ward did. It's that conversation does not make sense to me. That doesn't make sense to me at all. If you are going to say Shedeur didn't drop enough black culture to appease white GMs, then you have to say Cam Ward did. Because Cam Ward went number one overall. You have to say that guys like Lamar Jackson did do that. That all these other great black quarterbacks that have been drafted, all of them did indeed act wide enough. And I got a sneaky suspicion Acho's not going to do that. I am not saying that there are 0 teams that passed on Shedeur because he was too black. I'm sure that there is some element of truth to that. But to accuse the entire NFL of it, when the number one overall quarterback and number one overall player drafted was black, that's a big swing, man. That's a big swing. And it's an uncomfortable conversation to have, but it is a conversation that is important to have. And I don't know where to land on that. I really don't. So as far as I'm concerned, Shedeur Sanders is an elite athlete that was an average quarterback that had an entire program effectively tailored, designed to and for him by his head coach, that effectively had an entire program revolving around him and Travis Hunter, and didn't really develop the elite weaponry needed to go higher than 5th round in the NFL draft. That's it to me. I don't think there's anything deeper than that. I'm sure there may be 1 or 2 teams that did not want to deal with the because of some racist elements passed on Shedeur. That might be true. I'm not saying it's completely untrue. I'm saying to say that's the number one reason I think is silly when Cam Ward went number 1 overall. There will be some teams, I assume most of them. What was a bigger issue was not having to deal with Deion Sanders tweeting about it and opening the floodgates, Donald Trump tweeting about it and opening the floodgates, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That is, to me, what I think did Shedeur. Add in all the stories about interviews gone poorly and FaceTiming people while supposed to be meeting. The story about his meeting with Brian Daboll, where Daboll said, draw this up on the board, and Shedeur went, yeah, I ain't doing that. I'm not ready for that. I don't want to do that. And Daboll went, then what are you doing here? And they butted heads about it. Took himself off the Giants board when the Giants were considered front runners to get him. It's wild. All right, we'll put that to bed. We can circle back around later if y'all want to. If you don't, that's okay too. We got NBA, NHL, and more as well. You get this 3 times today. So enjoy it, ladies and gentlemen. Lonzo Sports Flash.
The most accurate thing you've said today. 3 times. On Saturday, the Hub City Spartanburgers set a franchise record by scoring 16 against Greenville. Yesterday, the Drive got their revenge with a 6-1 win. The Spartanburgers claimed the series with 4 wins in 6 games and are tied at the top of the division. South Carolina baseball team dropped the 3rd game of a 3-game road trip to Kentucky. 11-5, Dylan Eskew got the start and was charged with a pair of earned runs through 3 innings. Game 3 at NC State was the nail in the coffin of a Wolfpack sweep over Clemson's baseball team, with the Pack taking a 4-1 win and a 3-0 series victory. Clemson's bats produced just 5 hits and 2 walks, striking out 5 times. Hour number 2 of the Rob Brown Show is next with the water cooler cheat sheet right here on the Fan Upstate.
Spring is here, and it's the perfect time to grab that pastel shirt, checkered pants, spikes, and hit the course. Get the Upstate Golf Card and play 6 amazing courses for just $50. That's rounds at Preserve at Verde, Greer Golf, The Rock, Pebble Creek, Rolling Green, and Carolina Springs for less than $9 a round. Don't wait. Warm weather won't, but the honeydews will. Grab your Upstate Golf Card now at upstategolfcard.com. That's upstategolfcard.com and start swinging.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions.
Here's the thing. If you have confidence in your talents and you are as good as you think you are, Shedeur has been put in a position where he's going to have to prove all that. So we'll see what happens. Is it impossible odds? Maybe. Maybe not. He might come through all of that and be the starter for Cleveland.
Unique and unlike any other sports talk show, it's BetMGM Tonight, Monday through Friday from 7 to 11, only on the Fan. BetMGM Tonight is the red zone for casual and hardcore sports fans. Live sports betting updates for all of the night's games as they happen. The latest scores, sides, totals, props, parlays, futures, and much more with real-time, relevant sports wagertainment tonight at 7. BetMGM Tonight, exclusively on the Fan
Upstate
and on the Odyssey app. Wire to wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. Turn on, leave on.
Hey, let me answer this question because I saw these at the store the other day on these eggs. Is it okay to buy, because I don't think so, pre-boiled, hard-boiled eggs in a bag? Ugh. That is disgusting, isn't it? You know they sell them? You know that? Why don't you just get pickled eggs? Because they're not boiled. They're pickled. I don't know. Pickled eggs. What's the difference? Do you boil egg and then pickle it? Or do you? No. Pickled, when you put it in pickling.
3 friends, first break.
10-4.
It soaks in and just preserves the egg. But you still have to boil it, right? I don't think so. Do you have to? Yes, you do. I guess
They need their own cooking show.
You know what? I've never bought them, so I wouldn't know. Diesel and Google's how to brine eggs.
Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson.
Turn on, leave on. Afternoons 3 to 7 on the Fan Upstate.
Upstate. WORD Spartanburg.
WFPC HD3, the official sports voice of you.
Bum, ba-dum, bum.
Odyssey Sports Station. Check this out. Your unofficial lockdown. Locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show.
Here we go. Hour number 2 of the Rob Brown Show starts now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's the Fan Upstate. Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo, and you. 4 hours of sports talk shenanigans underway this lovely, I hope, Monday morning. 844-326-3663. That is the number to the Hub City Spartanburger text line, 844-FANFONE. You can text that number. You can call that number and get on the air. Your thoughts on the draft class of the Carolina Panthers or your favorite NFL team in general. We'll get to that. We'll talk some NBA playoffs coming up a little bit later on in the radio broadcast because they are happening. Couple of good series, and we'll talk about those. NHL playoffs as well. Carolina Hurricanes up 3-1 now on the Jersey Devils. Just playing just a better hockey team. That's all there is to that. Although Freddie Anderson got hammered in that game yesterday, had to leave the game, and fortunately for Carolina, they were able to get the Svechnikov Hattie to take a dub away and keep that series in check. We'll talk about that. We'll get some Braves ball in here because the Braves on Saturday had themselves a whale of a baseball game, and I took something away from it that is strange, unusual, not normal. For like 17 seconds, I was like, maybe they're not bad. Maybe they're not bad. Maybe they're not terrible. Maybe it was just a bad start to the season. Maybe the reports of the demise of the Atlanta Braves have been somewhat exaggerated. So we'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. I'm not saying yet. I'm not there yet. I'm not saying I'm willing to make the change just yet. I am saying I had a brief moment of not optimism. That's not the right word. What's the word here where it's like it's not optimism. I was content for one night. How's that? For like one night, I'm like, okay, little adversity. The boys played through it. I can live with that. Let's go. We're gonna go. So we'll get to that coming up in a little while. But it is 7:03 in the AM. You now have less than an hour before you've got to get to the office. You now have less than an hour until you're going to have to send those emails out and schedule that meeting and file that report and gross. But that also means you have just slightly over an hour before you take your first break of the day. And when you take your first break of the day, ladies and gentlemen, you are going to want to walk down the hallway. You are going to want to go grab Jimmy from corporate sales. Jimmy's a good guy. Loves some hockey. Good hair on that guy too. And you're going to want to talk some sports. And if you're going to do that, you need to know what's going on. And if you need to know what's going on, you need the water cooler cheat sheet.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying,
"No hard feelings, Point Break."
even before they take their first bathroom break.
No.
Here we go. Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
You got a mean swing. Water cooler cheat sheet, top 3 sports stories you need to know before you get to the office this AM and start talking sports with your coworkers. When you do, this is what you'll be talking about. Let's dive right in with item number 1. The NBA playoffs underway, 4 games yesterday, and at the conclusion of those 4 games, all 4 series find a team on the brink of elimination. 94-93, the Knicks knock off the Pistons. A little bit of chaos down the stretch in this one. But despite losing Jalen Brunson for a handful of minutes with a weird injury, he went down, kind of like dragged himself off the court over to the scorer's table, went to the back room, came back out, had a it wasn't like an air cast, but it was more than a brace. It was weird. It was some like mid between the two apparatus. Anyway, Jalen Brunson would check back into that game. Ended up playing 39 minutes, had 32 points, 27 from Karl Anthony Towns. Only 5 bench points from the New York Knicks, but it was enough because out of Detroit, 25 from Cade Cunningham, 18 from Tobias Harris. They got a little. Tim Hardaway Jr. had 14. Malik Beasley had 13 off the bench, but by and large, Detroit just did not have the defensive prowess down the stretch to make it happen, and the Knicks up on the Pistons 3-1. The Timberwolves up 3-1 on the Lakers, headed back to LA. 116-113 was your final yesterday. 43 from Anthony Edwards, 25 from Julius Randle. You had 25 bench points from the T-Wolves as well. You got 38 out of Luka Doncic. Here's the thing. I've said for a minute, these Lakers are good enough to make the NBA Finals. But for them to win games, they have to have triple-double efforts out of Luka Doncic. He just has to be at that or close to it. Luka played 46 minutes. He had 38 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. That's not it. Yes, it is weird that a cat can have 38, especially when LeBron added 27, a dozen boards, and 8 assists. You got damn near a triple-double out of LeBron James. But this series was never about LeBron James. This series is about Luka Doncic. And for the Lake Show to win, they have to have triple-double type performances out of Luka Doncic. It is probably unfair that there is that much pressure on him. It is probably unfair that he is being asked to carry that team the way that he is going to be asked to carry that team. But this is sports. Fair ain't got nothing to do with it.
They also need their third guy, Austin Reeves, to not have the kind of game that he had yesterday.
Austin Reeves, 17 points, 6 of 14 from the floor, 5 of 12 from deep, ended up with 7 boards, 4 assists.
So near the end of the game, instead of taking a shot himself, Luka dished off to Austin Reeves, who could not hit a 3 worth nothing near the end of the game. I think you gotta realize, hey, this guy is not working tonight. His shot's not dropping. I need to take the shot myself.
One of the criticisms, and again, we're going to talk about some of these series and these games a little bit later on in the show. One of the criticisms that came out after that game last night was JJ Redick was not making changes. It was like JJ Redick said, we are going to force the lineup of Reeves, Doncic, LeBron, Hachimura, and Finney-Smith. Dorian Finney-Smith had 41 minutes off the bench. He was 2 of 7 from the floor, 2 of 6 from deep, 6 points, 8 boards, 6 assists. I mean, not a bad game for a reserve, but you're asking 41 minutes from Dorian Finney-Smith when I've got Dalton Knecht playing 0 minutes. I don't understand it. 46 minutes for LeBron, 46 minutes for Luka Doncic, 41 for Hachimura. It was not good for the Lakers. We're going to circle back around and talk NBA later on in the show. 107-98, the Celtics now up 3-1 on the Orlando Magic. Jason Tatum had himself another day, 37 points on 10 of 25 from the floor. Jaylen Brown had 21, 6 points off the bench for the Celtics. All of them came from Sam Hauser. They only played 3 off the bench in that game. They didn't need anything else because this one was out of reach after the third period. It never felt like Orlando, even though it was a close game, never felt like Orlando was putting any sort of runs together. They did get 31 out of Paolo Banchero, 24 out of Franz Wagner in a losing effort. 3-1 Celtics up on the Magic. And finally, the Pacers 129-103 winners over the Milwaukee Bucks. The story of this one, Damian Lillard, who went down to a non-contact injury after kind of jumping around and trying to tip away a loose ball at the top of the key. Dame went straight down to the floor. They walked him over to the scorer's table. A teammate helped him up, and when he got to his feet, he went right back down, was able to put zero weight on the wheel. Looks like a torn Achilles. Look like it will be the end of the season for Damian Lillard, and if that is the case, it looks like it will be the end of the road for the Milwaukee Bucks as well. They now trail 3-1 in that series. Let's go to item number 2. 4 games in the NHL playoffs last night. The Oilers have tied the series with the Kings 4-3. Bouchard had 2 goals for them. The Capitals now lead their series over the Montreal Canadiens 5-2. 3-1 after a 5-2 victory yesterday. Duhaime had 2 goals in this one. The Blues 5-1 winners over the Jets. They tie that series up at 2 apiece, and we tell you all of that to get to the 5-2 victory of the Carolina Hurricanes over the New Jersey Devils. They now lead that series 3-1 in the quest for Lord Stanley's Cup. It was a hat trick from Andrei Svechnikov. He had 3 goals, including an empty netter that sunk the dagger. Brent Burns had 1, and Jacob Slavin had the other goal for Carolina. Frederik Andersen checked in as the starter in this game, got absolutely hammered by Timo Meier down the stretch. He ended up having to leave the game. They had to go with Peter Kochetkov, who was supposed to have the day off, faced 15 shots, made all but one of them into saves, but it was too little too late for New Jersey. They now trail 3-1 in that best-of-7 series. So as it stands right now, the Canes find themselves on the brink of eliminating New Jersey. And now let's get to item number 3. Yes, the conclusion to the NFL draft was this weekend. So let's take a look at the draft class of the Carolina Panthers that they put together. You go back to round 1, pick number 8. That is where they got Big T-Mac, Tedero McMillan, the wide receiver out of Arizona. But they went with their second round pick number 19, a trade up to get Nick Scorton out of Texas A&M, an edge rusher who is a speed rusher slash power rusher, kind of a utility guy that relies on the speed, but does have a little bit of strength in him if he needs to get there. Also a disruptive run defender who can slip blocks off the edge and set the edge. I like that pickup. Then we go to round 3, pick number 13 out of Ole Miss. They go with Princely Umanmielen, which I'm pretty sure I'm mostly pronouncing correctly. A DB, an edge rusher out of Ole Miss. So back-to-back edge rushers in the second and third, an explosive speed rusher that is lengthy at 6'4", 244, got the ability to get up the field very quickly. So now a pair of edge rushers.
Just saw a video of him squatting 650 pounds.
Yeah, he's a hoss. He's awesome. And the thing is, like, he's got power. He is fast for 6'4", 244. Like, fast off the edge. So a nice little utility mix there in pick number 13 in the third round. Pick number 12 in the fourth round, Trevor Etienne, the brother, of course, of Travis, played his ball between Florida and Georgia, a power runner, a late cut runner, a between the tackles runner that can make defenders miss in space without pulling away from the acceleration, a good route runner. But what I'm most interested in, very good after the catch. When he catches the football in space, he reads, sets up, blocks well, and takes advantage of those. Lathan Ransom comes over, the safety out of Ohio State, a good ball hawk defensive back at 6'2", 206.
You said Ohio State.
Yeah, I know.
I think that was on purpose.
The Horse Chestnuts send Lathan Ransom over to Carolina. Smart player, aggressive run defender, loves to get into the backfield and cause chaos. 9 tackles for a loss in 2024. Not really undersized at 6'2", 206, but he plays thin at 6'4". At 6'2", 206. We'll see if he fills out a little bit. In round 5, pick number 2, Cam Jackson comes up from Florida State. 6'6", 328. That's a big boy. That's a big son of a you-know-what. Jackson, big nose tackle with long arms, effective two-gap run defender, good hands, overpowers blockers. Could learn to shed blockers a little earlier. Could learn to get off of blocks and close out gaps a little faster, but he is a good power rusher. And in a 3-4, I need you to eat double teams. That's what Cam Jackson is going to do. Round 5, pick number 27, they go Mitchell Evans, the tight end out of Notre Dame, had the quickest 10-yard split amongst all tight ends at the combine. Quick, makes the first defender, misses, good hard runner after the catch. Kind of a classic power tight end. Goes 6'5", 258, was the 8th highest ranked tight end in the draft, averaged 14 plus yards per catch last year. Not a great blocker, though. And that's where they're going to have to try to develop Mitchell Evans if he's going to make this roster. And they round it out with Jimmy Horn Jr., a wide receiver out of Colorado. 5'8", 174. I'm going to keep it a buck with you. This is a lottery ticket type pick. This is a guy that you go, all right, he's got speed. One of the fastest in the combine, good special teams guy, was averaging north of 10 yards per punt return last year, and a guy that even at $174 isn't afraid to cut across the middle. This is a lottery pick. Maybe you get a great kick returner. Maybe you get a great 5th wide receiver when you do go with a 5 wide. Maybe you get a guy who's kind of a utility wide receiver for Bryce Young. Maybe you get a guy who ends up not on the team at all.
Sure, you get Bryce's roommate for the upcoming training camp.
Because they can share phone books to sit on at the lunch table?
Well, no.
Is that what you're saying?
They can look eye to eye and have conversations.
5'8", 174. I think Bryce is bigger than 5'8".
That's what they say.
And Kellen is 6'1".
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Kyler, sorry. Kyler's 6'1".
Yeah.
All right, that's going to do it for the water cooler cheat sheet. That's what you'll be talking about in the office today. When we come back, well, we just kind of got into it a little bit. Let's talk about the draft class of the Carolina Panthers. Let's talk about the potential wins, the potential losses, where guys are going to fit in, where Dan Morgan and Dave Canales can take advantage of what they drafted, what they passed up on, and more. We will do that when we come back. Rob Lonzo and you, the Rob Brown Show, is on the Fan Upstate.
Three friends.
All right, guys, quick live coming right back. Stay right there for me, please, and thank you. What is up, friends? It's Rob Brown. I hope you're enjoying the show. If you're not, I don't know why you're here, but I am glad that you are. Hey, do us a favor. Whether you're enjoying it or not, would you mind sharing us around your social media, please? And thank you, Twitter, X, whatever you call it. I don't care. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, it doesn't matter to me. Help us get the good word out. We're trying to get famous and rich, and we can't do it without your help. So, The Rob Brown Show is on all social media, or share the YouTube channel, the Facebook page, wherever you're watching this, and we'd appreciate it very much. Now, let's get back to the show. Stick around.
In a good flow. And then when it comes to sports on Saturday, I don't have sports people in there with me. So when I write the show, I don't put any sports into it, plus do it over here. So I am excited, Trey, about an Ohio State player being on the Panthers. But he's a later draft pick. Will he be on the Panthers at the end of the training camp? We'll see. I don't want anyone to think that I'm ignoring them, but if I don't look overjoyed about something, it's because my mind is focused on something else. Or I'm just an angry old man who needs to go out to pasture, wherever that is. I guess it's home.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. Rob, Lonzo, and you. Be a part of the radio broadcast. 844-326-3663 is the number.
Like how that actually paid off. You had to build up, and there was actually something afterwards. A lot of these, they build up, and it doesn't go anywhere.
We're professionals around here.
So I was talking about the bumper music.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
We're professionals around here, people. All right, let's get a couple of different things in here. Let's start with this one. The fine folks up at the Infinity Sports Network were kind enough to put together some draft profiles of different players that got selected. Let's listen and respond to a couple of those. We will start with this one with pick number 1 for the Carolina Panthers, T-Mac, Big T, Teteroa McMillan.
Teteroa McMillan, wide receiver, Arizona.
Fafita looking for T-Mac across the middle. T-Mac, give him another 6. 40 yards out. Oh, man. This kid is a ball.
I mean, he's been better than we advertised.
With a rare combination of size, hands, and route running, McMillan has the tools to become a primary pass-catching weapon. He tallied over 1,300 yards and 8 touchdowns last season, using his 6'5" frame to consistently create separation. He lacks top-line speed, but makes up for it with terrific route running and an elite ability to track the ball. He should make an immediate impact at the next level.
So, the issue that I had with the pick last Friday when we talked about it, and the issue that I have with the pick now is very simply that I'm looking for I wanted, if we're going to go wide receiver here, I want a big play threat. And I do think he has big play threat as a jump ball player. I think he has big play threat as a guy that if you are looking at a, and 6 and 7, he's a dude that I can trust to get to the sticks and make a play. What I did not add, what I did not add is down the field playmaking. I did not add a guy that I can go 7 route to the goalpost, BY, chuck it up there. I did not add a guy that I can go, all right, it's 3rd and 17, 9 route on the outside, and trust that either A, he's going to be able to separate and make a move, or B, he's going to get down the field so fast that he's going to take the top off the coverage or pull a safety out of position and allow somebody else to work underneath. That was the only issue that I had with that pick.
So the overall plan that the Panthers have put forth with the guys they've added in free agency, including what they've got in the draft, you don't think that made this pick better?
No,
I do.
because
I'm excited about this pick.
I'm not excited about it. It's just for that spot, not what I needed. For that spot, it didn't feel like what I needed.
They addressed their defensive needs later on, like I said they would Friday, and pretty excited about those guys too. They got what they needed on defense, and they got a couple wide receivers. They picked up some guys in free agency. I am actually a little bit excited about the Panthers. The thing is, this is going to be much like what we said with Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. This is the best receiver core that he's had since he's been there. Now you can throw some guys that they end up getting rid of out of there, but I think as a core, I love what they did. Between that and the pickups and free agency, he has no excuse this year. If that offensive line, one of the most expensive offensive lines in the NFL, holds up, Bryce Young has no excuse. If he's going to take off and if he's improved the way that you have said he has, this is the year for them to win the South.
Okay. So let's go a couple of different ways. First off, is it the best receiver core that he's had so far? Yeah, I think so. Now, I think we are working under the assumption that Tetairoa McMillan is a star, and I think I want to see him. I think I want to see him play it out first. I'm not just going to.
You don't draft a guy in that spot if you don't believe he is.
I didn't say believe he is. I'm saying is. I believe he's got NFL talent. I believe he can be a stud. Absolutely. But there's a difference between I believe he can be and he is. I got to see he is. But especially with the addition, and we are going to talk about it coming up here in a minute, especially with the addition of Hunter Renfrow. And I know people are excited about it. You should be excited about it. I'm pretty excited about it. Hunter Renfrow.
He was out of football for a year.
Was out of football for a year.
And it wasn't, I don't think by choice.
It was a combination of a head injury that took him out of football, and then the Raiders gave up and moved on. Which again, understandable. If you don't believe the guy can give you what you need out of him, yeah, you move on. I mean, this is not a charity. But he's had a year to get his head right. He's had a year to get himself together. We'll see if it paid off. But I agree, it is the best wide receiver core, and it's the best offensive line that Bryce Young has had to work with so far. To me, when you say, there's no excuses or anything like that, what you're saying is that the guy has been an abject failure to this point, and you expect him to perform up to levels. BY has some element of that on him in being
to harken back to what you said in the first hour. I didn't say that. Don't say that I said that. I never said that.
I didn't say you said it. I said the way that I hear that is, the way that inflects to me is, he's failed thus far. Obviously, that is going to be connected to the fact that I think you got a dramatically better Bryce Young at the end of last year. I think you saw more of what Bryce Young was supposed to be, expected to be last year, and now it grows. The only issue that I have is I still don't have that big-time outside playmaker as a speed guy. I got a guy that I can trust to throw it up and go get it. I got a good, solid route runner. Maybe that might be more important to Bryce Young, is having a good, predictable pattern route runner. I still would like to see somebody that can take the top off. I'd still like to see somebody that can pull a safety over to the outside and allow some breathing room in the middle. And you don't have that.
You think that Bryce Young is a deep ball quarterback? I do not. And I do think his height is a detriment. I think he has to throw through lanes. And the best way to do that is to have more short yardage than it is long yardage. Because when he gets back there and he has too much time, then his feet gets busy and he has a problem. If he can stay within the framework and hit those lanes and everything, he'll be fine.
I think that to some degree, every passer in the NFL has got to have a deep ball guy and has to be able to throw the deep ball. Obviously, some are going to do it better than others. I'm saying I don't think Bryce Young has had any opportunity in Carolina to show that he can or can't be consistently trusted as a deep ball guy. In fact, if anything,
who's the last deep ball threat he had?
He hasn't. That's my point. He hasn't had that.
Who went to Chicago?
DJ Moore.
DJ Moore.
Which Okay, which is not on the team when Bryce Young was there. That's how they got Bryce Young.
I thought he was. Okay,
No,
all right.
They had to send him to Chicago to ultimately get the pick that led to Bryce Young.
Okay, all right.
So he literally has not had a deep ball guy. It hasn't happened. Adam Thielen, right? Like not a deep ball guy. Xavier Legette is the closest he's had to a deep ball guy. And I don't think there's a lot of Gamecocks out there that would try to tell you that Xavier Legette is a deep ball wide receiver. You just haven't given him one. And that's what I was kind of hoping to get out of this. This was part of the reason that going in, my thought was trade back and get Matthew Golden out of Texas. Trade back and get my speed guy on the outside. I got some size. Again, I need Xavier Legette to get better, more trustworthy catching the football. I'm not arguing with that. But I'm saying there were a couple of speed wide receivers in this pick, in this class. Tet's probably the most consistent pass catcher. And at the end of the day, receiving is the number one quality I'm looking for in a receiver. I'll build the offense around what they got. But I was fine with it. We'll talk more about the rest of the class coming up in the next segment of the show. But let me snag Kev real quick before we go to a break. Kev, my man, welcome back, big dog. Good to have you.
What's happening, man?
You're looking at it, buddy. What you got?
Listen, sometimes you just have to shut up, man. Like,
my bad.
Shedeur went
my
where
bad.
He went, and he's a 5th round pick or whatever. Like, sometimes shut your mouth. Like, that's what might get you out of certain situations. If you think about going in the first few picks, then all of a sudden you don't, and you hadn't done nothing to get in trouble. Now it could be a shot at his daddy, but it could be a shot at shut up. Like, play football, coach football, and hush. Stop telling people where you're not gonna go or what you're not gonna do. Because guess what? When you say you're not gonna do something, you end up having to do it. Now you got to eat crow sandwiches for a few weeks.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Shedeur got to go in there and work. First one in, last one out, and make a believer.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it was the whole thing to me was, I want to be real clear. Kevin, I don't care about the legendary draft room, and I don't care about his draft party, and I don't care that he's, turned a $sign into an S and built himself a logo. I don't care about any of that. What I care about is, do you take this job seriously? What I care about is, do you want to be great? Do you want to be good? Or do you want to be a brand? And to me, when I heard this story, and it came from a couple of reputable places, that during his meeting with the Giants, and remember, the Giants were one of the teams that was expected to be genuinely interested in picking the kid up. Apparently, he went to the meeting, he met with Daboll. Daboll sent him over some prep work, right? Like, please be ready to come in and discuss these however many plays and your thoughts and your concepts and whatever. And the story going around right now is, Kevin, that he was completely unprepared. He didn't do the homework. He didn't show up with knowledge of the plays. And when Daboll was like, buddy, you're here to talk about a job. How are you unprepared? Again, the story is Shedeur called Daboll out. Like, I don't need to learn your playbook unless you're going to draft me, and I don't need to do this, do that, whatever. And apparently him and Brian Daboll started butting heads a little bit. So when they traded up to go get Jackson Dart, it's like, man, if I roll up into a job interview and I tell the guy I'm trying to get a job from, yeah, I'll learn about your job and your company and this job once you give it to me. Guess what's not going to happen?
Yeah, you're gonna leave there jobless, man.
Yeah. It's like this whole thing. And again, Kevin, I am not saying that there aren't some elements of racism like we're tossed around. I'm not saying that's not true. I'm not saying that there's not some element of, hey, bleep Deion Sanders that shine through. I'm not saying any of those things aren't true. What I am saying, the people that are saying that is exclusively the reason that Shedeur dropped, they didn't pay attention.
No, they didn't pay attention because like you say, he paid threw for 14,000 yards in college. Okay, you've done that. Now this is a whole new job that you've never had a part of. Go ahead and act like you've never been there. Go in there and have a good interview. Talk to these people, let them know you got knowledge, and figure out and go from there. They may not pick you, but they may tell somebody else like, hey, that's gonna be a good pick right there. We go with somebody else, but that's gonna be a good pick. But if they go tell the next guy, like, hey, man, he was all in here like he knew everything already. He was telling me what should happen and what shouldn't happen. No, that's not what I asked you to do.
Yeah, you're right, Kevin. Appreciate it, big dog. Good to talk to you this morning. Let's do this. Let's run to a break. When we come back here in just a minute from right now, we'll look at the other picks in the Panther draft class and how they fit in. We'll do that next on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Real quick, and then we'll get back to the rest of the class selected by the Carolina Panthers. Texas said the Browns picking Shedeur does not make sense after taking the quarterback in the third round because the Carolina Panthers did indeed select Dylan Gabriel, the quarterback out of Oregon.
Cleveland.
Sorry, what'd I say? Seattle?
No, you said Carolina.
Yeah, that's what I That's obviously not what happened. The Cleveland Browns selected Dylan Gabriel, the quarterback out of Oregon, in the 3rd round before they circled back around to Shedeur in the 5th.
I think they did it just so they could cut him because Oregon beat Ohio State in that first game.
Revenge game.
I think that's what they're doing.
I think what happened here is that Shedeur Sanders, I have zero problem saying absolutely has 5th-round draft pick talent, right? Absolutely has 5th-round draft pick talent. First, I didn't think so. Second, questionable. Third, probably. Fourth, yeah. 5th, definitively a 5th-round quarterback. Even if he was not Shedeur Sanders, if he was Shedeur Johnson, I still think that the Big 12 Player of the Year had 5th-round capability. I think the reason Cleveland took him, and I reacted because this pick happened live on the air on Saturday. I think this pick happened because it's a why not pick, right? I had Pete Futak on the show on Saturday, and Futak pointed out that this was when you're drafted in the 5th round, you're drafting for depth. Like, you hope you stumble into a guy who becomes a long-term player, but you're drafting consistent and capable depth. You're drafting to find guys who can be special teams guys. You're drafting for guys who can step up and cover a couple of games if your starter goes down for whatever reason. And you're willing to draft lottery tickets here. And I think that's what this is. You have Deshaun Watson. Yes, he's on the roster. No, he will never play another snap for the Cleveland Browns. They are doing everything in their power to figure out how to get rid of that contract. Is it going to work? I doubt it, but they're working on it. They're doing everything in their power to get rid of that contract and get rid of Deshaun. So you have a 4-quarterback room. You have Joe Flacco on this team. You have Kenny Pickett on this team. Now you've added Dylan Gabriel, and you've added Shedeur Sanders. So what do I have? I have the veteran old-time mentor on this squad. I have the never really panned out lottery draft pick. Do we get a Baker Mayfield resurgence out of Kenny Pickett? Could we say that it was the franchise, not the player, in Kenny Pickett, and you give him a shot? Sure. If nothing else, you've got an NFL experienced backup on the roster. And now I have 2 guys in the locker room, Gabriel and Sanders, both of whom have all the pressure on the world on them. When you think about the fact that the Cleveland Browns have started, and I did not go back and count, but I believe since Tim Couch left, I believe they have had 973 different starting quarterbacks in Cleveland. And so what you've ended up with here is we are just going to throw a bunch of stuff at the wall and play the law of averages. The law of averages says if you bring enough quarterbacks into the quarterback room, one of them's going to figure it out, right? Like, one of them's going to work out to be good enough to do something. So you bring in Gabriel as a 3rd-round pick. You bring in Sanders as a 5th-round pick. You put them both into the QB competition, and you say, good luck, fellas. One of y'all's going to make the team. One of y'all's going to the practice squad. Who's it going to be? And you let them fight for it. You let them fight for it. Because if Shedeur ends up being a guy that it was smart to draft in the 5th round or later, and he's just not that good, do you know what you can do? You can cut Shedeur, and it is what it is. You cut a 5th-round pick. Quick. I literally read you the names of the Carolina Panthers draft in the last segment. Who'd the Panthers draft in the 5th round? Who'd they draft in the 4th round? Who'd they draft in the 6th round?
I don't think you got to the 5th round.
I did. And I know I did because they got Cam Jackson, a 328-pound defensive tackle.
All right, you did.
I know. I was there. Look, you cut a 5th rounder, it doesn't matter. right? I mean, it matters. You wasted a draft pick, but that's what the 5th round is. It's lottery picks. It's trying to find good depth. It's trying to find guys that can stay on your team and provide you with bodies that can show up and be great practice squad guy or practice day guys. Guys that you could maybe they stand out in one particular element and you can adapt them into a part of the game even if they're not your everyday starter. That's what you're going for. And so if Shedeur works out and he has a good camp and you go, you know what? Maybe the kid does have it. Great. He stays on the roster. Dylan Gabriel stays on the roster and you cut Flacco or you cut Pickett because you're paying them good money, but you're not cutting them break your franchise like Deshaun Watson checks, right? You can cut that guy. If Shedeur doesn't work out, you cut a 5th rounder, you got a 3rd rounder, and we see what Dylan Gabriel can do long term. The more I thought about it, after my initial knee-jerk reaction on Saturday, which was Cleveland gonna Cleveland, mainly because, and I have done the research on this, Cleveland is indeed gonna Cleveland. It's what Cleveland does. The more I've thought about it, the more I'm like, yeah, it feels like a wasted draft pick. But here's the thing. Cleveland actually had a pretty good draft, honestly. Like, I know the Browns fans are pretty upset that they didn't get Travis Hunter, right? Like, they were throwing whole draft parties about bringing Travis Hunter to Cleveland, and they sent him to Jacksonville instead. Here's the thing. I think Travis Hunter is going to be a good player in the NFL. I don't think Travis Hunter by himself is a franchise-changing player. Do I think he's got potential? Yeah. Can he be a big play guy? Yeah. Is he going to make a difference? Absolutely. Is he going to change your franchise by himself? No, I don't think so. And the Browns, who have a better roster than anybody wants to give it credit for, still addressed needs, added a 1st rounder and a 2nd, like they or a 4th rounder and a 5th rounder. Like, they added pieces and they still ended up addressing a major need on this team, defensive line. And they did so with the best defensive tackle in the draft. They added the best DT in the draft, Mason Graham out of Michigan, and they picked up a 1st rounder and a 4th and a 5th rounder from Jacksonville to do it. Travis Hunter wasn't showing up and changing your franchise. 2 first and a 3rd, 4th, 5th, whatever it was, that can, if you get them all right, that can change your franchise. So I really think, honestly, the Cleveland Browns had a very good draft. And I don't even hate them to, by the way, the Shedeur Sanders pick, that was their last pick. They did not have a 6th or a 7th rounder. That was their last pick. They added a running back in Dylan Sampson out of Tennessee. Guy I think is undervalued if he can stay healthy. They added Harold Fannin Jr. from Bowling Green. They got their tight end. They added Quinshawn Judkins, the runner out of Ohio State. They built up the home fan base a little bit. And by the way, if Judkins wasn't in a backfield with Travion Henderson, he's probably getting drafted even higher than he did. They got him in the 2nd round. You addressed your needs. And also got a guy that if you end up cutting him, it is no big deal. So what do you do to Shedeur in this spot? He is on a short leash. You tell Shedeur, hey, if your dad gets involved, if your dad starts helicopter parenting, as he has done throughout your career, if your dad starts helicoptering, we will cut you. If your dad starts tweeting about us, we will cut you. If your dad starts tweeting what our game plan about you should be, we will cut you. If you or your fan base or your dad or whoever starts to make us look bad in any way, shape, or form, we will cut you. Because all we will be out if we cut you is a 5th round draft pick, which is a speculative pick anyway. So the more I thought about it, teams that had no quarterback or teams that were looking for an immediate impact player, if you didn't feel good about Shedeur, not the right pick. But a team that has 4 quarterbacks on the roster, a team that has very little pressure on them, a team with an established and liked head coach like Stefanski. I'm not saying the NFL likes it. I'm saying Cleveland clearly does. There's no risk for them. If he stinks, you cut him. If the drama's too much, you cut him. If his dad gets involved, you cut him. And it costs you nothing to do that, but a 5th-round pick. The more I think about it, the more Cleveland actually makes a lot of sense for Shedeur Sanders. I probably should have seen that writing on the wall. Now, I didn't, because in what world does a team that has 4 quarterbacks in their quarterback room select a 5th quarterback? I've never seen anything like it. But Shedeur Sanders at a 5th-round pick was value pick. Value pick. Texture said, supposedly, Dion is planning to be in his first meeting with the team. I hope that's a joke. I have not heard that. I hope that's a joke, because I'm going to tell you, you know what the biggest thing I'm taking away from this is? And I doubt it's going to work out. I really hope Dion and Shedeur learn something from this, right? I really hope they learned something. I hope they learned a little humility. I think they learned a little patience. I hope they learned a little something that this is the NFL. They do not care who you were. They do not care who you are. Somebody said this on Twitter on Saturday, Zoe, and I thought this was great. We are running out of genuine meritocracies in America. Places where you are moved up or down exclusively because of who you know. I cannot tell you, I am here in this job because of who I know. I do not have the contact to get this job if it was not for Mark Ryan, who I knew because I worked with. The part of the reason that I busted for the MGM network is because I want to be in the good graces of everybody there. You never know when somebody's going to open up that $1 million a year job and they're going to go, that Rob Brown fella, he bust his ass, right? You never know. Meritocracies are few and far between. Playing in the NFL is one of them. Playing in the NFL is a meritocracy. It is exclusively about your performance in the job. We have watched players commit heinous crimes and get 2nd and 3rd and 4th and 5th chances. Why? Because the only thing that matters is what you do on the field. They don't care about your last name, where you went to college, who your daddy is, who you played. They don't care about any of that. And so what I am hoping for Shedeur's sake is that he learned a little humility. I am hoping for Shedeur's sake that Dion is taking away from this. I can't help my boy no more. I can't do it. He's on his own now. He's in the real world. He's got to be able to do this on his own and gets out of the way. Because if I'm Stefanski and I hear Dion Sanders wants to attend the first Cleveland Browns team meeting, I am telling Shedeur, if he shows up on this campus, you will be leaving in his car with him. Do you understand? If he shows up on this campus, we will cut you on the spot. Do you understand? You will pink slip that day. Do you get it? And I hope for his sake that he does. All right. We'll continue talking NFL draft coming up here in a minute. Next hour of the show, we will evaluate the NBA playoffs. We got John Blau of the Post and Courier. Not a good weekend for Clemson baseball. We'll tell you what happened against NC State with him at 8:40. All that and more coming up on the Rob Brown Show after Lonzo, the most influential influencer in America, gives you this sports flash.
4 NBA playoff games went down yesterday. The Knicks took a 3-1 series lead with a 94-93 win over the Pistons. Timberwolves head back to LA with a 3-1 lead over the Lakers after a 116-113 win. Boston leads Orlando 3-1 after a 107-98 win. And Indiana leads their series over Milwaukee 3-1 after a 129-103 beatdown. The Atlanta Braves dropped a 6-4 decision at Arizona with Spencer Schwellenbach taking his second L on the season, giving up 7 hits and 4 runs in 6 innings. The loss stops a 3-game win streak, but Atlanta has won 7 of its last 9 and starts a 3-game set at Colorado tonight. South Carolina baseball team dropped the 3rd game of a 3-game road trip to Kentucky, 11-5. Dylan Eskew got the start and was charged with a pair of earned runs through 3 innings. Hour number 3 of the Rob Brown Show coming up next right here on the Fan Upstate.
Electricity comes to the White House. We'll discuss as we take a bite out of history with Ingalls Martin. The White House was built in 1792, but has only had electricity for the last century. Electricity first flowed to the White House in 1891 during the presidency of Benjamin Harrison. The city of D.C. didn't have an established electrical system until the Capitol Power Plant began supplying the city in 1910. So Army engineers installed a generator system in the now Eisenhower Executive Building next door to the White House to supply both buildings. The 23rd President, Benjamin Harrison, and his wife, Caroline, didn't trust the new technology and refused to turn any of the new electrical lights on or off anywhere in the White House for fear of electrocution. The task was exclusively done by staff members only. The electrical system has been upgraded multiple times with additions and remodels over the years. One president famous for his use of the lights in the White House was Lyndon Johnson, who hated waste and was known to walk through and turn off all the lights in rooms that were not being used, sometimes in rooms that were actually being used, giving him the name Lightbulb Johnson among staffers. This has been a bite out of history with Ingalls Martin.
Greenville County Animal Care is the only shelter in Greenville County that accepts animals regardless of their condition, behavior, or circumstances. While this helps most animals in need, it also brings challenges like frequent overcapacity and resource constraints. We must balance providing immediate care and finding long-term solutions for each animal, often with limited space and resources. You can help us help them by being a foster, a volunteer, donating, or even being a part of our next 5K for charity. Visit greenvillepets.org to learn more.
I'm Brian Tedesco, CEO of Blaupunkt America, the pioneers of the car stereo. Today, we're not just about sound systems. We are revolutionizing the e-bike scene with Blue Dot Bike.
It's Game Pass, Trey.
Our online presence now features a dynamic.
I'm currently playing 2 games on Game Pass that are brand new that showed up on Game Pass, and PlayStation Pass is not as good. Last generation, I had both. I had PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. This generation, I don't see a reason to have both yet. There's no game on PlayStation that makes me want to go buy one. And I've alternated back and forth or had all of them eventually when price drops happen. The price drops aren't happening anymore. So you kind of got to choose one or the other, especially income-wise. But because of Game Pass and how good it's been, I think that's the thing that gets people to lean more towards Xbox. Day one exclusives, I mean, that's a thing, especially with game prices going up. I don't have to pay $70 to $90 for a brand new game. I can pay whatever my subscription price is and play it. And then when I'm done, I can move on and get the next game drop.
And here we go into hour number 3 of the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate, the Monday morning edition. Rolls on. Rob Brown, the Great Malonzo, and you, the Hub City Spartanburger text line and call-in line is open, 844-326-3663, 844-FANFONE is the number. If you'd like to get at us in that direction, you're encouraged to do it. I heard the story yesterday, great one. I've been doing this a very long time, as have you. And there are regularly and frequently challenges that come along with this job. There are challenges in terms of things you have to do that you don't want to, or things that you can't do that you do want to. There are challenges in terms of receiving directives that maybe you don't love, or being told no to things that you do. There are obviously personality clashes constantly in this industry filled with larger than life characters, et cetera, et cetera. WFAN out of New York saw Chris Lopresti was called in to sub duty. There was a day where, and you don't need the whole backstory, but suffice to say, their main guy called out, and then their backup called out right before the show started. So here comes this cat getting his opportunity. And those are the moments when you're working your way up. Those are the moments you live for. Those are the moments. Those are the days that you show up for work even when you don't feel great. Because you never know when the backup guy is also going to call in and they're going to go, we don't have anybody else. It's your time to shine. And you step in and you do the show and they go, that's pretty good. You're the backup guy now. Or that was really good. Maybe we're going to work you into one of these shows. So here comes Chris Lopresti. Steps in for the show this past Tuesday morning. And on show number 1, where he got his opportunity to shine, great one, he got the hiccups. And he kept the hiccups for the entire 4-hour show and could not get rid of them. To the point that it became, and this makes sense, I get it, to the point that it became a topic on the show, as in listeners were calling in to help him come up with ways to get rid of the hiccups, which again, he had for 4 hours on his opportunity show. That's rough.
This is normally where I go. It's a work. Hiccups are no joke in radio. They are no joke. Think about your favorite radio personalities, and as long as you've listened to them, especially ones that have been around for a while, do you ever remember them getting hiccups?
It has happened to me, not 4 hours worth, but I had one show, actually, I think it was here, a ways back, where I had them for like an hour and nothing worked.
Well, you've experienced one hiccup out of me and it nearly killed you because it scared you to death. I would have to leave the room. I could not stay in here because my hiccups are so loud. They're as loud as your and Chris's sneezes. And they progressively get louder and louder and louder. And I have no control over it. And it's just so loud. It's embarrassing how loud it is. And so you'd have to come and run the show because I would have to leave because you would not, first of all, you'd be laughing your butt off. But second of all, you couldn't get a word out without my hiccup overpowering even you. That's how loud it is.
4 hours. My dude gets his shot, gets his opportunity, gets his time to step in as the backup to the backup. 4 hours.
It's commendable that he stuck with it, though, for the entire 4 hours.
I mean, I don't know what else. They clearly didn't have the opportunity to go with a backup to the backup to the backup. I mean, so at some point, you just run out of guys. There was a
hey, kid, come here. You want to do radio?
Sincerely. There was a hockey game a couple of years ago, a Carolina game, as a matter of fact, where the goaltender got hurt, the backup goaltender got hurt, and they had to go to the emergency goaltender who was just some guy. Like just some guy who was like a 40-year-old beer league goalkeeper who was also the Zamboni driver who was listed as the emergency third goaltender. They had to call this guy into the game. This guy showed up at the arena with every intention of drive Zam, go home, drink a beer, go to bed. And what ended up happening was drive Zam for a little while, then put on the gear and the uniform of an NHL team and make my NHL debut for one game and like 1.5 periods. And oh, by the way, I think he gave up 0 goals and they won that game. It was pretty stellar. But, if I recall correctly, he was like, it was for the away team, right? So this guy was working the Zam for the home team, then had to suit up and put on the jersey and play goalie for the away team against the home team. Like, it was a wild story. It's that spot. It's that moment. And my dude had his shot to suit up, to give it his first go on WFAN, arguably the most influential, the most prestigious sports talk radio station in America. And dude catches a 4-hour hiccup fit.
So if you're management, do you look favorable on this guy because he's stuck with it for the entire time? Or are you worried that this could happen again and you don't use him anymore?
I mean, it's the hiccups.
I know.
Right?
Some people,
it's one thing.
Some people get them a lot.
It's one thing if you throw homeboy on air and you're like, hey, the main guy's out. The backup guy just called in. It's your time to shine, big dog. Go get him. And you put him on the air, and then you realize, like, one segment into a show, oh, this guy's hammered, right? Or this guy is, just doing something that is intentional and personal and manual. He's doing something preventing him from doing his job. That's one thing. It is something completely and totally different to get the hiccups. I mean, what are you gonna, like, in that moment, what are you gonna do? That's rough. The guy finished the show, which, listen, there's no world that the guy's gonna get the call and have his opportunity to finish. And this is a midday show too, right? Like, this is Boomer and Geo. This is a show that is recognized and is used for prep by other shows nationally. Gets his shot on Boomer and Geo. There's no way, short of like amputation, that this guy's not finishing that 4 hours. He's just praying that every hiccup is the last. He's just praying that he doesn't end up in the middle of a take that could get clipped and put on social and go viral. He's praying for that.
Aren't you just a little worried bringing up this story? Aren't you just a little concerned?
Listen, you will notice that what I'm not doing is making fun of old boy, all right? For two reasons. Number one, because that sucks. I can't imagine that this cat didn't get 6, 7, 8 hiccups deep into his hiccup fit and not feel like this is going to be the worst day of my life, right? I spent all this time getting ready, getting prepared, getting myself into this spot. I spend the morning finally getting the opportunity, and now I'm going to have a hiccup fit. Like, I can't imagine the gut feeling this guy had. B, I'm not making fun of him because I don't think karma is real. But just in case. You know what I mean? Like, as Michael Scott said, I'm not superstitious. I am a little stitious. I don't believe karma is real. I don't think karma is a thing. I think at the end of the day, stuff just happens because that's how the universe works. But, like, just in case, I'm not going to bag this guy. Because the last thing that I need is who was the guy? There was an ex-football player. Was it Bo Jackson? There was an ex-football player who just, like, has the hiccups forever. Dadgummit, who is the guy? I think it's an ex-football player that has had the hiccups for like some amount of years. Yeah, it was Bo Jackson, who experienced chronic hiccups for over a year. He had to have a medical procedure. He had to have surgery. And I don't know what anti-hiccup surgery is. Like, I don't know how that works. But Bo Jackson had chronic hiccups for over a year and had to have some sort of hiccup removal surgery to get over it. Honestly, I do not know that I could live. Not even trying to be like dark or gross or whatever. I don't know how I would go on living because I've had hiccup fits. They last like 10, 12 minutes. And I've got my list of remedies, right? One of them for me is, I hate it, drink pickle juice. I don't know why specifically pickle juice. Just drink water. Hasn't worked for me. For some reason, drink pickle juice works. I guess it's because of the the tartness of it, I have to hold my breath a little bit longer and that gets rid of them, or however it works. I don't know. I have my remedies. A year of 4 hours of hiccups sounds like hell on earth.
Absolutely does. I looked it up. Hiccup surgery is last resort treatment for persistent hiccups that don't respond to other methods. It involves procedures like Botox injections, Vagus, VAGUS, say it however you want, nerve ablation, or phrenic nerve ablation, which aims to interrupt the signals that cause diaphragm spasms. You're going to love this. Phrenic nerve ablation, the most common surgical option, involves paralyzing part of the diaphragm.
Fun! Sounds like fun. Sounds incredible. Hey, bud, listen, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take this knife right here. We're going to slice you wide open down the middle. And then we're going to paralyze the breathing muscle for just a few minutes. We're going to paralyze the muscle that pushes your lungs and helps them contract and expand to do the whole breathing thing. That's how we're going to fix this. So as if chronic hiccups wasn't enough, one of the solutions to chronic hiccups is we are going to intentionally paralyze the muscle that helps you breathe. Dude, this sounds like hell on earth to me. Wow. Bo Jackson had it for a year. This cat had him for 4 hours, and it happened on the day that he was selected to be the backup to the backup for one of the nation's most well-known sports talk radio shows. Oh, I feel awful for this cat, dude. I feel awful for this cat. Texture said apparently the most effective remedy is a spoonful of sugar to the roof of the mouth. I've never tried it because I don't get hiccups around sugar, but that's what they say. I haven't heard that one.
Yeah, I've never heard that one either.
This is one of those spots when it comes to the old hiccup remedy list. This is one of those spots where it feels like everybody's got their one. And maybe it's worked for you. Maybe it hasn't. I also think it's one of those things that, like, whatever you got told was the solution. Because let's be honest. How often do you get hiccups that last long enough that you're like, I need a solution. I need to perform some sort of chemistry experiment in my mouth hole to help me get past this. I get hiccups a lot. But I've never had them last more than like a couple of minutes. Never that I was like, let me go to the kitchen, whatever.
I think maybe 10 or 15 minutes for me. And they're so violent that I'm sore for a couple of days afterwards. So, I mean, I can't imagine trying to do 4 hours.
Yeah. I honestly, like, I don't know what I would do. It's one of those spots where it's like, hey, you probably just suck it up and get through it. But I've had it long enough that it's been like, you know, hold your breath for as long as possible. Eat something or drink something super sour. Most of the drinking stuff is because you can't breathe while you're while you're drinking, right? So like take a drink, take a big long sip of water, whatever. Most of those are connected to just stop breathing for a little while. Let your diaphragm relax so it stops contracting, which your diaphragm contracting pushes air up from your lungs. That's what a hiccup is. 4 hours. And apparently, I'm reading through the article about it. Apparently, let's see. Awful Announcing put this article up on their website on like Thursday. Apparently, dude went on Twitter and said his hiccups were still active 2 days later. You know what? I just need you to take a big syringe of drugs that will put me to sleep for a week and inject it directly in. All right? Just KO me, anesthetize me for a month.
You're willing to be put into a coma
over having hiccups for 4 consecutive days? Probably. That sounds miserable. If Lonzo had the consecutive hiccups for 4 consecutive days, no one in gray court would be able to sleep. All right? Lonzo's hiccuped one time. I don't mean had the hiccups. I mean one hiccup in front of me, and it genuinely snapped my attention. Like, what was that?
And you also saw the look of panic on my face. Like, oh no. And I haven't had hiccups in a really, really long time.
4 days, just anesthetize me for a month. Take me out of commission for a month. I do not want to wake up again until you are sure they are gone. Sure that they are gone.
Wake me up when my hiccups end.
Just whatever. Put me to sleep until February of next year. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a couple of minutes. Got a few more things to get to. Let's talk some NBA playoffs when we come back here in just a second. For right now, then John Blau of the Post and Courier will join us to talk some Clemson baseball. Final segment of the show, final hour of the show will belong to you. That's coming up on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. And some Rob gets hiccups, jump scare him, let him know you're just trying to help. No, don't. Then I will have the hiccups and be furious. I'm not paralyzed.
I'm Ryan Horvath, here to help you beat the books with BetMGM Network. The Los Angeles Clippers ended the regular season on a high note, and they carried that momentum straight into the playoffs. Kawhi Leonard is looking like prime Kawhi, locked in on both ends of the floor. That kind of performance gives me more confidence in this squad. Clippers are still plus 650 to win the West. I'm Ryan Horvath. Bet smarter and beat the books. Download the BetMGM Network.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place. For changes big and small, loud or quiet. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
For over 8 years, QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in non-surgical relief for joint pain, with over 50,000 satisfied patients. People with knee and back pain now living pain-free. Shoulder and hip pain gone. Hey, it's Charlie James. What they're doing is nothing short of remarkable. They're using regenerative cell therapy to restore the tissue in your achy joints. They're using biologic growth factors with robust healing properties, carefully and strategically placed in your joint. It's a powerful and potent way to give your joints new life, restoring old tissue. Best part, with QC Kinetics, there's no drugs, no surgery is involved, and there's no downtime. This is an all-natural, cellular-level option with lasting relief. The patient satisfaction reports are astounding. Imagine doing all the things you enjoyed this summer without being slowed down by that awful joint pain in your knees or your back. Call QC Kinetics now and learn about these cutting-edge treatments that can help you live your best life. Call 864-448-3772. In Greenville and in Asheville, 864-448-3772. That's 864-448-3772.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, and a regular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin tablets, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Today, expect a sunny day with a high of 78.
Weather brought to you by Robert Half. Our recruiters' expertise and award-winning AI will find you the skilled candidates you want. At Robert Half, we know talent. Visit roberthalf.com/talent today.
The Fan Upstate. Here's how to get in the game. On your radio at 97.7 FM, 1330 AM, Greenville. 97.1 FM, 950 AM, Spartanburg.
Listen on your phone, download the Odyssey app, and search The Fan Upstate.
There's a whole lot more to know about sound if you really want to go into the subject.
Your smart speaker. Just say play 97 The Fan Upstate. On your HD radio at WFBC HD3. There's just one more thing. And on your computer at
TheFanUpstate.com.
Your guide to the gridiron.
The Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Take a look at the NBA playoffs as they stand right now. The Thunder have put away the Grizzlies. They sweep the Grizzlies straight up. Every other series, with the exception of Nuggets Clippers, which has been wildly entertaining, and the Rockets and the Warriors are on the verge. All four series in the East are on the verge of either a sweep or a gentleman's sweep. Two of the three series in the West are either a sweep, Thunder Grizzlies, on the verge of a gentleman's sweep, Lakers Timberwolves, and it is the 6-seeded T-Wolves that are up 3-1 on the 3-seed Los Angeles Lakers. There are effectively two series here that are competitive, not in terms of game to game, but in terms of the series being competitive overall, in terms of the potential result. The Thunder, again, like that series was never in doubt to me. That was the only question there was sweep outright or 3-1. The Grizzlies were the only team in the West that I did not think was going to be capable of winning the Western Conference Finals. I thought everybody else had a shot. So let's look at these as they are playing out. Lakers Timberwolves, I'll start with this one. We talked about it very, very, very briefly earlier in the show. I have handed J.J. Redick a lot of flowers this season. And I have handed J.J. Redick a lot of flowers this season because I did not envy the position that J.J. Redick was put into. J.J. Redick was effectively labeled a Nepo hire before he actually took his first game took his first game as the Lakers head coach. J.J. Redick was hired, and the NBA world very rapidly responded with, oh, that's only because he's Braun's guy, and LeGM James made the hire. But I've actually been pretty impressed with J.J. Redick so far this season. I've been impressed with J.J. Redick because the Lakers seem to respond to him as an actual head coach. He's got, whether it's because it's his boy or not, he's got LeBron James on the bench effectively telling the rest of this team, yo, listen up. What coach says goes. Have you noticed that the coach accusations about LeBron have largely disappeared this year? There's still talk about him being the GM. But the accusations that LeBron is the genuine head coach of this team have largely gone away. And I do believe that is because JJ's done a pretty good job. However, in this series, JJ has not done a good job. In this series, it has been a bit of a struggle for JJ Redick. And I go back to yesterday's game as a large chunk of proof for that. They lose that game 116-113. Good game, good competitive game. It's on the road. That's a tough spot. But it got to be about halfway through the fourth quarter. LeBron had 0 fourth quarter points. Luka was playing good ball. But, as I've said a couple of times, to me, Luka Doncic, in order for this series to be competitive, Luka's got to be turning in triple-double performances. Luka Doncic ended this game with 38 points. Great. 1 rebound, 2 assists, 1 steal. Not great. That's not good enough. It's just not good enough. And the problem I had was if your stars are turning in those types of numbers, especially late in a very contentious game as this one was, you got to play with the pieces that are around them, man. Like, you got to work with the pieces that are around them. You started the game with I don't understand why it is that we keep starting the game with Jackson Hayes and then he plays 4 minutes. Like, what? Why not just start with a different lineup? Is it just for the jump ball? Are we starting Jackson Hayes to give ourselves a shot at the jump ball and then sitting him? Because I got to imagine that's screwing with his head. It's screwing with the guys at the head of the guys that are on the bench. Like, I don't understand that. And when we get into the fourth quarter of a very contentious, very physical game, by the way, these teams were beating the hell out of each other yesterday. Very contentious, very physical game like yesterday. And JJ is not changing anything. It's like we're gonna lottery pick this when you're down 2-1. I didn't really understand it. This individual game, if not the series, that individual game was a little bit on JJ. And I think JJ's done a good job this year. No Jimmy Butler for the Houston Rockets, for the Golden State Warriors, and they still knock off the Houston Rockets. I don't know what to make of this series anymore. And I don't know what to make of this series because on Saturday, this game was Saturday night, on Saturday, when Cody Decker and I were talking about this, I watched the betting line in this game shift. Early in the day, when Jimmy Butler's status was a question mark, the total in this game was like 222.5. And then when the announcement that Jimmy Butler was not going to play came out, it dropped from 222.5 down to like 211. They thought Jimmy Butler was worth 11 plus points in this game. What do you think is fair? I also thought, oh, well, then obviously Houston's going to win this game. They need playoff Jimmy. They did not have playoff Jimmy because of his pelvis injury. Steph Curry went off for 36, 12 of 23, 5 of 13 from deep, 7 of 8 from the stripe, had 9 assists and 7 boards in this game. I suddenly feel, and I don't want to overreact to an individual game. I kind of suddenly feel like maybe Golden State's a little more dangerous than we gave them credit for. Like maybe there's now a part of that is Draymond Green. Not necessarily in terms of performance. He had 7 points and 8 boards? More along the lines of Draymond's being Draymond. He's bumping his gums, and it is absolutely working. Like, this is, to me, this is the series that I would use as an illustration for experience matters a lot. Experienced matters a lot. Draymond Green is flapping his gums. That's what Draymond Green does. He talks. He's going to give you 7 points, 8 boards, a couple of assists, like good numbers. But Draymond Green's the type of cat that's just going to try to get in your head and take you out of the game. And it has worked, man. It's worked. I got 9 points out of Jalen Green. Jalen Green, when these playoffs started, I had a couple of names that I said, this guy makes it interesting. This guy makes it interesting. Not, and not talking about necessarily like your bona fide superstars. Talking about, and Jalen Green is one, but I'm talking about you're kind of not household names. And I said, Houston can win this series because Jalen Green has the talent to go get 35 a night and win unless playoff Jimmy shows up. Jalen Green was 4 of 11, 1 of 5 from deep, 6 boards, 5 assists, 9 points on the game. And a lot of that to me was because Jalen Green was wrapped up with Draymond Green. It was green on green violence, and Jalen was not prepared for it in that moment. I think the Houston backcourt has been out of sorts. And I credit that to Draymond Green. As much as I don't like the guy, I give him credit because his game bleeping works, man. Like, he gets in your head. He gets you more concentrated on him than on the game itself. And Houston fell for it. Now they find themselves in a 2-1 hole. Did you see the end of the Nuggets-Clippers game? I've never seen a buzzer beater that close in my life. They had to go with like the Hawkeye technology to see if the ball got out of the hand before the red light on the backboard went off. I've never seen anything like it. And that was a game I'm looking for. That was a series I'm looking for. 2 games apiece after a 101-99 Denver win. Look, Nikola Jokic is being Nikola Jokic. 36 points, 21 rebounds in an NBA game.
That's a lot of rebounds.
That is a shocking number of rebounds. If you have a player who grabs 21 rebounds, you better win that basketball game, Jack. Like, that's it for me. If a player gives you 21 boards, you better win that game. And they almost didn't. Till Aaron Gordon scored his 14th point with 0.0000001 seconds remaining on the clock when the ball left his hand and got flushed. On Saturday, Cody Decker said, do you think that game 2, when Nikola Jokic lost his mind on the bench, do you feel like this is the beginning of the series for the Nuggets or the end? And my response was, not only do I think this series is over, I think Jokic's time in Denver might be over. Because I think this was a year and a half of frustration boiling to the surface in Nikola Jokic. And I think at some point he's going to look and go, I am wasting my prime years here. And as much as we all like to view Nikola Jokic as this kind of unintentionally hilarious dude who wants to go home and play with his horses, I do think he cares about winning. And I do think he recognizes he has more horse money if he wins. And I think he looks at the Nuggets and how they gutted that team after they got the NBA championship, and he's growing increasingly frustrated. But if these boys didn't dig it out in game 4, if he didn't dig it out to get 21 boards, that's incredible. All right, we'll talk about the East. We probably will not talk about the Eastern Conference playoffs because, to be honest, they're not that exciting. Not yet. Second round, I think, could be very, very good. But we will talk to John Blau of the Post and Courier. When we come back, not a great weekend for Clemson baseball. We'll find out what the hell went wrong next on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Signing with the Carolina Panthers. He was a 5th-round pick out of Clemson back in 2019. He was released following the 2023 season and opted to sit out last year. NASCAR Sunday at Talladega, Austin Cindric took the checkered flag. Kyle Watson ran second. William Byron finished third. Josh Daly hit a crucial 2-run double in the 7th as part of a 3-hit day.
All right, guys, we're going to get John Blau set up. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's the Fan of State. Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo. And joining us now on the radio program, as he is kind enough to do every single Monday at 8:40 in the a.m. to talk a little Clemson Tigers athletics. He covers Clemson for the Post and Courier. John Blau joining us here on the show. John, what's up, big dog? How we doing, buddy?
I'm good. How are you, Rob?
I'm exceptional. Thank you very much for asking. Let's start with this, John. And I want to be diplomatic in the way that I ask this question after a not fantastic weekend for the Clemson baseball team. So I'll be as diplomatic as possible. What the hell happened?
Yeah, so a lot. Aiden Canuck and not having some of his best stuff the last handful of outings, I would say. Had probably about 3 not great outings the last 5. I gets hit around a little bit. If you lose on a Friday, it's hard to win a series for Clemson right now, just where they're at. And then a lot of just, we saw it the weekend before, just not being able to drive in runners in scoring position, to have guys at second and third base, to leave them there. And, you had a good enough outing on Sunday from your pitching staff to go win the game. But I mean, if you're always scoring a run, you're not going to win a game. So, a lot of things. The pitching they still got to figure out. I think kind of how they're going to work that with Pittsworth and Bailey, if that's good enough, or if you want to still experiment around there. And then there's just a bunch of hitters that just aren't clicking all at once. I mean, they seem to have guys that are surging at different points of the season. I mean, Colin Priest is on a tear right now, but the other guys like Dominic Lispy, who had a batting average that was up in the 330s for a long time. He's down in the 290s now. He's still getting on base a ton, but not getting hits. And a lot of guys throughout the lineup go up and down. They're not all clicking at once. And obviously it's April. You still got May and June. You want to be hot then, not now. But definitely they got to figure some things out between now and then.
Talk to me a little bit about was NC State doing anything? I mean, that's a good baseball team. And I think that is one thing that you do want to point out is you didn't get swept by North Florida. You didn't get swept by, the Mutual of Omaha University or anything. That's a good NC State baseball team. But to drop 3 in a row, even if it is on the road, I think there are some folks that maybe start to be concerned. It's the number 2 team in the country, relax. But also, was NC State doing anything specific, particular? Was there anything outside of the norm, or was this just Clemson didn't live up to what we expect out of them?
Yeah, I mean, again, talking about being hot at different points in the year, I mean, I think NC State's playing really good baseball right now. I think their hitters are really locked in. A bunch of them are. And so you got to tip your cap to them a little bit in terms of the way they were able to hit the ball around, score runs, kind of put the pressure on. I don't think they did anything in particular different as a pitching staff that I could tell. That kind of made Clemson uncomfortable. This just seems to be where Clemson's at right now in terms of their bats. And I think Eric Backus just saw after the game. I wasn't there personally, but I saw some interviews he gave. Talked about maybe guys pressing a little bit. I do think that when you watch Clemson, the fact that they can't come up with that clutch hit with guys in scoring position kind of indicates that there are probably some guys that are probably thinking too much, just pressing, just trying to make something happen instead of just playing the game and letting it happen. So yeah, I mean, I think they caught NC State at a time when they're playing really good. I think Clemson, obviously, they're not playing very well right now, and they got to hope to just get out of that rut. Obviously, it's not going to be easy. They got Florida State next. They're obviously really good. But yeah, they have to find a way to kind of get back to being the resilient, clutch team that they've been in the past, which they're just not right now.
I'm as much as I don't like to acknowledge it in public as of right now, John Blau, an Atlanta Braves guy. And I go back to the beginning of the Braves season where it did not go well. 0-7 to start the year on a left coast swing. And that was kind of one of the complaints I had about Atlanta was it just got to the point where it felt like the boys are in their own head. They're leaving guys on the base path because it feels like they're going up there trying to hit slobber knockers and just not playing baseball. And it is, to me, sometimes there's a great scene from Ted Lasso where one of the characters brings his captain out to a field to just go play soccer like a kid. Just remember why you like playing this game. Is that kind of the vibe we get right now, that maybe this team is just feeling we need to play more like a number 2 team in the country and getting themselves in spots that they don't need to be in?
Yeah, I mean, Eric Baggage talks about this all the time. I mean, it's kind of funny because the Savannah Bananas were here this past weekend, and he always talks about how they play banana ball at practice just to kind of have that free and loose feeling of, really pushing it. I think he likes to call it like the crazy, stupid line in terms of just being aggressive and just having fun. And the field is the playground and all that stuff. I mean, Eric Baggage puts that in their heads ad nauseum. And that's what he tends to get out of them is that kind of just that playing free and having fun and kind of just not focus as much on performing as just playing the game. And I just think that maybe right now, like you said, being the number 2 team in the country, you're having a really great year. I think I heard Eric Backich also say this: they're getting the best out of everybody they play right now because they're playing the number 2 team in the country. Obviously, you got to perform up to that if you want to be one of those teams capable of a national seed and getting to Omaha and being one of the last teams standing like they want to be. But yeah, I think sometimes you hit certain ruts in a season where you kind of lose yourself. I think that might be what's going on right now. I mean, it could also be that there are potentially cracks in the foundation of this team in terms of just not quite having enough starting pitching and not quite getting what you thought you're going to get out of some of these transfers hitting wise. I mean, it's all possible, and we'll kind of see how it unfolds. But I guess the one word of caution I would give is that, again, it's April. I mean, if you're going to have a rut right now in April. Don't have it in May and June when you really want to make a run. So there's still time for Clemson to kind of get back out of this and get back to winning games like they were earlier in the year.
Yeah, I mean, you've got 3 ACC series left. As you just mentioned, you're on the road at Florida State this weekend. You're back home Tuesday for a one-off with Coastal. Then you've got Duke coming to the house. Then it's up to Pennsylvania to take on Pittsburgh, and that's the end of the regular season. So, John Blau, how much pressure is there on this team to start hitting the baseball, to kind of find themselves a little bit? Obviously, you're fine as far as making it and hosting a regional. You're probably fine in terms of hosting a super, but in terms of momentum and finding yourself and knowing exactly who you are before you get to the postseason, how much pressure is there on the rest of the season and specifically this Florida State series this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, you can't get swept again, that's for sure. Don't come out of Tallahassee with another sweep. And obviously to win would get you right back on the right track, but you got to at least be competitive. You got to score more runs. You got to see a good start from Aiden Kinnock. I mean, that's probably one of the things that's the most distressing, and honestly wonder, again, a guy who added a lot of pitches this offseason, maybe just too much. He's just kind of doing too much. He's trying to use all these different pitches and mixing them in. Maybe you got to simplify things. There's a lot of, I don't know if I want to say it's urgency or absolutely need it. But yeah, there's a need to see, some good performances from I would say Kinnock, and then, again, some of these hitters, a Luke Gaffney, a Dominic Listy, even a Jared Purify, Canarella, they've been a little bit of a lull too. To see those guys come out and finally get some hits, I think I would at least from the outside looking in, as far as everybody looking at them, I kind of take a little of the pressure off of everybody starting to panic. But obviously on the inside, maybe gets them a little bit of relief and gets them kind of feeling good again as they go down the stretch.
John Blau from the Post and Courier joins us every Monday at 8:40 to talk Clemson athletics. All right, John, real quick before we let you go, got a couple of football questions for you. First and foremost, obviously the portal window is been active for coming up on a couple of weeks now, very close to the end of it. Has there been any movement outside of the norm that you think Tiger fans may want to be aware of?
No, it's been very usual per Clemson in the spring. I mean, Tavoy Fegan, the cornerback, the freshman, he decided to transfer. That's the only guy that we know of that hit the portal, unless there's some kind of late name that's going to trickle out that we just didn't know was in there. But it seems like that's the only guy to leave. Clemson usually has maybe 1 to 0 guys in the spring, and so they're basically the team they are. They were in the spring. That's going to go into the fall. Maybe they have one, scholarship spot they can explore if they want to get somebody. But obviously, there's a lot of flux with the house settlement, what the roster limits are going to be, and scholarships and all that. So we'll have to wait on that. But yeah, very little movement this spring portal window. Just basically business as usual for Clemson there.
All right, and since you brought it up, because no good deed goes unpunished, John Blau, by being good at your job and following this house settlement situation, now I got to ask you about it. I saw that the judge in question, Claudia Wilkin, about a week ago said that the roster limitation clause of the house settlement was the one thing that stopped her from approving it. The takeaway I had was basically that she said, fix this and I'll approve it. Don't fix it, and the NCAA will go to a trial and they will probably lose this thing. What kind of updates, what kind of information do you have as far as where we are in that whole process?
Yeah, I'm just following it like you are in terms of following the reporting. But yeah, from what I've read, what I've seen, they have to adjust. They have to grandfather in these roster limits that they're creating. Obviously, Dabo Swinney, a lot of the coaches have talked about it. Dabo said it was some of the hardest conversations he's ever had as a coach in terms of cutting some of these walk-ons, players that he would have had back. But he was anticipating the roster shrinking, and he had to let some guys go. And obviously, the judge looked at that and saying, "Okay, we're trying to do this for student athletes. Obviously, mostly for those scholarship student athletes, their name, image, and likeness getting paid. But at the same time, why are we making these walk-ons who otherwise would have had an opportunity to play college sports go away? It doesn't really seem to make much sense. It's kind of adversely impacting people." And so, yeah, they have to find a way to fix it. They have to, adjust the limits to kind of allow these athletes a chance to finish out their careers. It'll be interesting to see from a Clemson perspective. Does Dabo get to bring back some of these walk-ons? They told, hey, you weren't going to be able to come back. Do those guys come back into the fold? That'll be interesting to see. But, yeah, we're all waiting just to see what the final iteration of this is in terms of the roster limits, and then if it ultimately gets approved, and obviously going towards July, and then the revenue sharing model begins then.
John Blau of the Post and Courier, kind enough to join us every single Monday here on the Rob Brown Show to talk some Clemson athletics. John, my man, appreciate it, buddy. Get yourself a little week off of rest because you got a big baseball series to write about this weekend, my man.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Rob.
Of course. John Blau from the Post and Courier. You can follow him on Twitter at JON_BLAU, and we appreciate his time immensely. Ladies and gentlemen, when we come back, we've got a lot to get into in the final hour of the show. We'll talk a little Major League Baseball, a little Atlanta Braves. We'll talk some more NBA playoffs. We will update you on where we stand in the Carolina Hurricanes' quest for a Stanley Cup and more. All of that coming up in the final hour of the Rob Brown Show, and all of that comes after the Bo Jackson without the hiccups of sports flashes gives you a sports flash. It's the great one, Lonzo.
South Carolina baseball team dropped the third game of a 3-game road trip to Kentucky, 11-5. Dylan Eskew got the start and was charged with a pair of earned runs through 3 innings. On Saturday, the Hub City Spartanburgers set a franchise record by scoring 16 against Greenville. Yesterday, the Drive got their revenge with a 6-1 win. The Spartanburgers claimed the series with 4 wins in 6 games and are tied at the top of the division. Carolina Panthers have added former Clemson Tiger Hunter Renfroe to the roster after Renfroe was out of the NFL all of last year. Renfroe caught 269 passes for 2,884 yards and 17 touchdowns over 5 seasons with the Raiders. Hour number 4. Yes, we're already at hour number 4 of the Rob Brown Show is coming up next right here on the Fan Upstate.
An extra 10 to 15 minutes. It's slow to stop and go around Piedmont and Whitehorse. A close look at Spartanburg shows no significant traffic delays, and Wade Hampton is wide open. From the News Talk 98.9 WORD Traffic Center, I'm Bill Brooks on the Fan Upstate.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-414-9293, 800-414-9293, 800-414-9293.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old Boss. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin D3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
DQ presents how to hit summer sweet spot.
Probably don't be surprised if they don't sign some more in free agency, though.
With our fan favorite s'mores blizzard treat, plus new mixing bowl matchup with brownie batter and chocolate chip cookie dough. Even more in our stack summer lineup. Hurry in today because nothing says summer like baseball and our new summer blizzard treat menu. Right now at DQ. Happy tastes good. Participation may vary. Major League Baseball trademark used with permission.
Unique and unlike any other sports talk show. It's BetMGM Tonight, Monday through Friday from 7 to 11, only on the Fan.
Upstate.
BetMGM Tonight is the red zone for casual and hardcore sports fans. Live sports betting updates for all of the night's games as they happen. Get the latest scores, sides, totals, props, parlays, futures, and much more with real-time, relevant sports wagertainment tonight at 7. BetMGM Tonight, exclusively on the Fan.
Upstate.
And on the Odyssey app. Wire to wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. Turn on, leave on.
Talking Clemson baseball with head coach Eric Pack. Is that an identity that you want this team to have year in and year out, talking about the long ball? Or would you say that offensive production and how you score varies year to year?
Yeah, I would say that the way we construct an offense is a blend of speed and power, and we never want to be one-dimensional. We don't want to only be able to score by hitting home runs, and we don't only want to be able to score by, bunting and hitting and running and stealing and doing all that stuff. We want to be able to do it all. We want all the bullets in the gun, and so we build an offense with a good blend and balance of both. You can't be one-dimensional in this game. It's college baseball where everybody's good.
Wire to wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson.
Turn on, leave on. Afternoons 3 to 7 on the Fan. Upstate. It's the Rich Eisen Show.
Jerry Jones, go trade for Travis. You need an injection of superstardom. You need it. You know you want it. You trade draft capital in the future to get one of the biggest stars to come to this team since Randy Moss wanted to show up. This is what we're talking about here because it checks every box.
The Rich Eisen Show. Weekdays at noon on the Fan. Upstate 97.7 FM, Greenville 97.1 FM, Spartanburg, and everywhere on the Odyssey app. Your morning jolt of sports. It's the Rob Brown Show.
Damian Priest, WWE World Heavyweight Champion, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
So you went from the Indies to NXT to now being on the main roster. Crowd size moves up, and up. What's that like, the transition from NXT to WrestleMania?
Man, yeah, when I started in the Indies, I performed in front of like 5 people for a hot dog and a handshake. You know what I mean? And then from there to go to NXT, and our TV studio setting was a few hundred people, and it was loud, and I was like, oh man, I made it. And now I just finished winning the world title in front of more than 70,000 people live in Philadelphia. It's crazy, to go from one end of the spectrum to the other. It's humbling, to see how many people know who you are. It's just mind blowing to me.
Don't hit snooze. Hit play. The Rob Brown Show. Now morning 6 6 to 10 on the Fan.
The Fan Upstate.
Brighter than you.
Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets dropped a 61-point triple-double. That is the most points ever in the history of the NBA in which a triple-double was recorded. I'm not sure I've ever seen in a loss a player be so extraordinary and so thoroughly remind us of not just his greatness, but the value, the MVP, the overwhelming magic he brings to the table.
Brighter than you.
Brighter than you.
Weekdays 10 to noon on the Fan Upstate.
WORD Spartanburg.
WFPC H3 Greenville, the official sports voice of the Upstate Fan. Odyssey Sports Nation.
And check this out.
Your unofficial Rob Brown Lockdown.
Represents being a winner.
Manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Lockdown.
This is the Rob Brown Show.
The final hour of the Rob Brown Show goes now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's the Fan Upstate. Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo, and you. The Hub City Spartanburger text line is open for you today. 844-326-3663, 844-FANFONE. If you want to get at us in that direction, you are welcome and encouraged to do so. You can also jump on the air at 844-326-3663, 844-FANFONE. Should you like to come at us in that direction, you are encouraged and welcome to do so as well. Let's talk some more National Football League draft for just a minute, because we've had a couple of folks that have texted the Hub City Spartanburger text line and asked about specific draft classes, and you are certainly welcome and encouraged to do so. If you want to come at us in that direction, we can talk some NFL draft with you. Let's jump right into it. I gave you some thoughts on the Panthers draft class. I do want to say this real quick before I get to some of these other classes. I like the signing of Hunter Renfrow. I think that's a good pickup for Carolina. I think he fits into a role. The problem I think you bump into is that Hunter Renfrow kind of fills the same role that Adam Thielen does. You are going to take likely 6 wide receivers into the season. You got about 9 on the roster right now. Some folks are getting cut. McMillan's going to be on the roster. XL's going to be on the roster. Adam Thielen's going to be on the roster. Those are guarantees. Then it's just, where are you going to fill out everything else? And the more I think about it, as much as I like Hunter Renfrow, unless he is like 2021 Hunter Renfrow, unless he's 1-2 years out of Clemson Hunter Renfrow, there's a chance he doesn't even make the roster. Sincerely. There's a chance he doesn't make the roster. And I wouldn't be shocked if that is the case. I mean, we've talked about it a couple of times today. I need a deep ball threat. Here's who's on the roster as it stands right now that I think could end up making this roster. T-Mac's making the roster. Thielen's making the roster. XL's making the roster. Jalen Coker is making the roster. And then you basically have at most 2 spots to fill out between Hunter Renfrow, David Moore, and Jimmy Horton Jr., your 7th round draft pick.
We also need guys on special teams, so they're probably going to go for the younger guys in that case, right?
That does not help Hunter Renfrow. I mean, look, I don't want to pretend the dude's ancient. He's not. He was drafted in 2019. He's not, the old grizzled vet. Hell, Adam Thielen is the old grizzled vet on this roster if you got to pick one. But Adam Thielen has not just continued to produce, but has developed phenomenal chemistry with Bryce Young.
He's 29.
So he's actually older than I thought he was.
Yeah.
He came out older. Still, again, not ancient, The point here is, as much as I like the fit, the dude's going to have a good camp. He could very well not make the roster because there are other players on this roster, like David Moore, who is actually older, but last year put up like 350 yards, had 3 or 4 touchdowns for Carolina last year. Like he's been in the, that's kind of the part of it, is he's been in that system. So I would keep an eye on that. All right. I got asked earlier about a couple of different teams and my thoughts on them. I will start with Chicago. The Bears. Texter wrote in earlier, said, what do you think about the Bears draft class? Do you think they're headed in the right direction? I think it's fine. Like, I think it's fine. I still don't. Colston Loveland at the 10th pick was interesting to me. I thought the pick at 10 and deciding to go ahead of Tyler Warren, the young man out of Penn State who was presumed to be the first tight end off the board. I don't really even have an issue with that. I don't have a problem with taking Loveland ahead of Warren. What I wondered is, are the Bears putting too much emphasis on the tight end? Now, on one hand, I get it. Because if you look at what their head coach Ben Johnson did last year, he turned Sam Laporta into a monster. And Cortland Loveland is a very similar type tight end. He is also a good, not great, but good run blocker and has a lot of versatility in the passing game. So that's kind of interesting. What I do know, though, is you already had, and I've mentioned this a couple of times in the lead up to the draft, and I certainly mentioned it after the pick of Loveland. You already had Cole Kmet on this roster. Could you not have had a more utilitarian pick at number 10? Jalen Walker was on the board courtesy of Carolina and New Orleans both passing on him. Was there not a spot of greater need for the Chicago Bears than taking your second pass-catching tight end? I don't know. I feel like Chicago wanted to end this draft with an edge rusher. They did not. They went tight end, receiver, tackle, offense, tackle, defense, linebacker, cornerback, offensive tackle, running back. And it's a lot of speculative picks late. You took Luke Newman out of Michigan State in the 6th round. Started 37 games for Holy Cross, 12 games at left guard, moved over to Michigan State, played tackle, but he's more suited to be a guard. Like that's a speculative pick. Zach Frazier, cornerback out of UTSA. That was a compensatory pick for Chicago. Have some questions. Can't really catch. Again, there's a reason. He may be the illustration of that's why you play defense. Right? Just not really great hands for a guy that does a pretty good job of consistently putting himself into routes. So I think it was fine. I don't have an issue with it. I don't think it was good. I don't think it was bad. I think it was, I don't do draft grades. I think you addressed most, if not all, of your needs. I would have liked to have seen an edge rusher. I think and again, probably not going to happen with the selection of Ben Johnson as the HC in Chicago. I just kind of want to see Chicago get back to being the Bears. Sorry, the Bears. I just kind of want to see Chicago get back to being a bruiser team. And this draft does not insinuate they're going to. Doesn't mean it's good or bad. Just kind of means what it is. Got another texter that said, Rob, how do you feel about your Saints draft? Are they a threat to Carolina next year? There's some interesting picks. I will tell you that, and I will keep it a buck with you. I don't know if this is me trying to not lose my relentless Saints fans optimism. I don't know if this is because I know ball and I just needed to let the emotion of it pass first. I've come around on the Kelvin Banks Jr. pick. I've come around on it. It's still not, I still wanted Jalen Walker. Still the guy I would have gone with there, but I also know this year is probably going to be a rough year for my football team. I know that this year is going to be a year where I have to ask the question, what's our catchphrase for trying to tank and get Arch Manning next year? Right? Like that's the next guy that is considered the franchise quarterback guy. What's our catchphrase? I've landed on two of them. You can go masochist for Manning, right? We're just going to torture ourselves for a year, masochist for Manning, or ask for Arch.
How much college football has he played?
He's Archie's grandkid. He's going to be a legend.
I know,
icon, first ballot Hall of Famer.
Shouldn't playing well on the field factor into that?
Should it? It should be the only thing that factors in. But that's not how football fans work. We're not going to live on, I got to see it. We're just going to go on, he's Archie's grandkid. He's coming to win like 9 Lombardis in New Orleans.
So that's why Shedeur should have been drafted in the first round, because he's prime son, right?
No, that's different.
Okay.
That's different. That's a whole different conversation. Look, I don't know what Arch Manning's going to be. I'm not worried yet about the 2026 NFL draft. We literally just finished the 2025 NFL draft. I've come around on the Kelvin Banks Jr. pick. You needed all. You came into this knowing you needed offensive lineman. You really needed guard more than tackle, but you can move Trevor Penning over. Fine. Tyler Shuck picked him up from Louisville. Like, okay, we're gonna see. By the way, you want to hear a sentence, Alonzo, that is true and is going to blow your mind? Tyler Shuck started his college football career at the University of Oregon, where he backed up Justin Herbert. You heard me.
Wow.
He was Justin Herbert's backup. You know who Justin Herbert is, right? You know Justin Herbert, the starting quarterback for the Los Angeles Chargers, who has been there for 4 years. Yeah, he was Justin Herbert's backup his first year on campus.
He's only 25, though. I mean, it's in this day. Well, because of COVID, we're going to get some older guys coming out into the draft.
If that didn't make you feel odd enough about the pick, you ready for my next favorite stat that came out this weekend? I don't know if this one's going to be true or not. I believe I saw somebody on Twitter that went and did the deep dive.
Tyler Shuck, he looks like Marty Smith.
A little bit. I'm going to tell you one more thing about Tyler Shuck that is going to kind of have you shook. There is about a 95% chance that he will be the last player ever drafted born in the 1990s. So that says two things. Number one, he was born in the 1990s. It is 2025, and he was born in the 1990s. Number two, he's going to be the last player ever born in the 1990s.
Doesn't bother me. I remember the last player born in
the 1930s,
the 1970s, the 1980s, 1990s, and we can keep going.
It bothers me a lot.
Everything's bothering you today.
Not everything. Most things.
It's just me.
Somebody said that on Saturday. They're like, oh, and by the way, there is the chance that Tyler Shuck could be the last player drafted born in the 1990s. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm just going to go punch myself in the face a couple of times.
It would take a lot of research to go through all of college football to see if there's another guy in there.
Well, I mean, if you really don't even have to research it all that much. If you think about it, born in 1999, even if it was New Year's Eve 1999, you were talking about somebody that would have had to take a redshirt year, a medical redshirt year, and a COVID year, and then get drafted out of it, which is not a thing. Not a thing. So, I don't know. That's interesting. I don't hate the pick. I think he's certainly a project. There were a handful of games, I think, as Clemson fans can tell you, there were a handful of games where the kid looks like he might be an absolute stud. There are also plenty of videos out there of Tyler Shuck missing guys. So I don't really know where to land. I think it's a speculative pick. I don't love taking a speculative pick in the second round, but at the same time, you got to find the QBF, and you might as well take a swing on this kid that other pick. By the way, Tom Brady wanted Tyler Shuck. I was trying to figure out, I was talking to a friend of mine who covers the Saints down in New Orleans over the weekend. And I was like, why was this the cat? Why not trade up and go get Jackson Dart? And he said that there was a bidding war going on behind the scenes for Jackson Dart that the Giants won, and that had New Orleans jumped in, that price would have probably gone up even higher than it did. So that was a big part of it. He said the other thing is New Orleans actually does like the guy, and they had to take him at 2 because there was no chance he was getting to 3, round 3. And I said, why is that? And he said it was relatively common knowledge around the draft that if he made it to the 3rd round, this was Brady's pick for the Raiders. This was the guy Tom Brady specifically wanted for the Raiders. So I'm not saying that alone makes me a little more optimistic about the kid, but it does. If Tom Brady said, that's the guy I want for my team, I'm willing to listen that he might know a thing or 3 about quarterbacks. I will tell you a pick I actually really liked. I really liked in the 4th round getting Danny Sutzman out of Oklahoma. 348 tackles, 34.5 sacks for a loss as a 3-year starter at Oklahoma. He is 6'3", 233, not the biggest inside linebacker in the game, but is a sideline to sideline player. He's got a very good range. He is an excellent pass coverage linebacker, which I think in the NFC South you have to have now, right? I've got to have a good pass coverage linebacker to play Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers, because you know that's going to be their style of play for at least the next couple of years. I've got to have good pass coverage linebacker for Michael Penix Jr. and the Atlanta Falcons, because a good pass coverage linebacker also means somebody that I trust as the second line of defense for a guy who's going to get outside of the pocket and move a little bit. Baker Mayfield, Michael Penix Jr., Bryce Young. So I actually really like that pick for the Saints. I'm good with it. I like to pick a Devin Neal out of Kansas too, the running back. First Kansas player to record 3 consecutive 1,000 yards. Good setup power runner. I like this cat a lot. I think that's an interesting pick. Outside of that, nothing really jumped off the board, but I thought you got good value in the 4th round with Stutzman. I thought you got good value with Devin Neal in the 6th round as well. So good pick, good draft for the Saints. Now you just got to hope that a couple of these kids work out. We'll see if they do. All right. Texas said with the first pick in the 2026 draft, the New Orleans Saints select Cade Klubnik, quarterback, Clemson, and 2026 Heisman Trophy winner. We'll see.
I'm not going to hit the meow. It's optimism season. I mean,
it is optimism season.
It could happen. Every year you've interviewed him and he's said he's improved. Maybe he's improved enough this year to be a Heisman Trophy winner.
Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Weather Center. Here's the Carolina's most trusted forecast on Fan Upstate. Sunshine today with a high around 77. Mostly clear skies overnight tonight with a low around 56. Sunny with our high around 80 throughout Tuesday. Then partly cloudy.
Be right back, guys. Stay right there for me.
61. Some rain showers.
friends, it's Rob Brown. I hope you're enjoying the show. If you're not, I don't know why you're here, but I am glad that you are. Hey, do us a favor. Whether you're enjoying it or not, would you mind sharing this around your social media, please? And thank you, Twitter, X, whatever you call it. I don't care. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, it doesn't matter to me. Help us get the good word out. We're trying to get famous and rich, and we can't do it without your help. So, The Rob Brown Show is on all social media, or share the YouTube channel, the Facebook page, wherever you're watching this, and we'd appreciate it very much. Now, let's get back to the show. Stick around. What is...
Your smart speaker. Say Clay 97 The Fan upstate. On your HD radio at WFBC HD3. There's just one more thing. And on your computer at thefanupstate.com. Text or call. One number does it all. 844.
All right, a couple of things I want to get to here on the show. Let's start with this one. Roger Goodell said after the draft was over that they are considering shortening the length of the first, second, and third rounds of the NFL draft, considering taking the first round down to 5 minutes on the clock in order to decrease the length of time, because the first round did take forever. Again, I don't care. It's all I had planned for last Thursday, so I was watching every second, no matter how long it took, but it did take a long time. And so the commish told Pat McAfee over the weekend that there is consideration to drop the first round from 7 minutes down to 5 minutes per team. However, every team would get 1 2-minute extension to be used any point during the draft. So if you're on the clock, you're working a trade, maybe you need a couple of extra minutes to see if you can finalize it, or your GM and your head coach are in a fist fight over who's the next dude they should pull off the board, whatever. Every team would get 5 minutes in round one. Every round would see its clock per pick decreased, but every team would get 1 2-minute extension to utilize at some point during the draft. I don't know, man. Like, for your television watching purposes, I don't know if dropping it from 7 minutes down to 5 minutes has all that much of an impact over who's going to watch the whole thing. I do know that if you have not yet believed that the NFL is more about entertainment than football, there's your answer.
I am curious. So if they are going to drop that, does that mean they won't be scheduled for 4 hours, or do they drop that down to 3, or do they keep it the same amount of time and just add more advertising?
I mean, you know what I think the answer is going to be.
And then they'll come back from break. While we were away, these picks were made.
I don't think there will ever be a point where they will not show at least a first round pick, probably second round pick as well. I don't think there'll ever be a spot where they're not showing picks. I could see a spot where they are like taking a break between them, right? Because if nothing else, when the pick comes in, Raj can just hang out on the side of the stage until the dude with the orange kitchen mitts out there doing the timeout dance gets off the stage. But we'll see. We'll see. I don't really have a big take on that. Like, I don't care. It doesn't bother me all that much. Like, it's a 4-hour show, whatever. It's the first round of the draft. It's NFL Christmas. It's all I planned on Thursday. So I was watching it. It didn't matter. Now, I don't know about you. There are days, if I may be honest and vulnerable with you, dear listener, there are days where and it's going to sound unbelievable, but it's true, struggle with self-confidence. There are days where I don't believe in myself at all. And I have to be talked off the metaphorical ledge by friends, family, and loved ones. There are days where even I go, I don't really know if I'm good at radio or if I've just tricked people into thinking I am. I don't know if I'm doing this wrong. I don't know if I'm doing it right, whatever. There are days where I wish that I had the self-confidence of Mel Kiper Jr.
The NFL has been clueless for 50 years when it comes to evaluating quarterback. Clueless. All that, no idea what they're doing in terms of evaluating quarterback. That's proof. There's proof of that.
How many
they say we know exactly what we're talking about with quarterback? They don't.
That's Mel Kiper Jr. claiming after Shedeur Sanders fell to the 5th round that NFL teams are clueless when it comes to evaluating quarterbacks. Now, he also went on to say that he gets it. It's everybody else that it's all the people in the NFL getting paid millions of dollars to evaluate quarterbacks that don't know how to evaluate quarterbacks. He's got it, though. He's figured it out. The same guy that blasted the Atlanta Falcons for getting Julio Jones, the same guy that said that David Carr was going to become a franchise player for a long time, the same guy that said at one point that if Jimmy Clausen didn't turn into a career player and multi-time NFL MVP, I don't remember exactly what the promise was, but Mel Kiper Jr. basically said, Jimmy Clausen's him, and if he's not him and I'm this wrong, I will retire. As Carolina Panther fans can attest, Jimmy Clausen did not do that, and Mel Kiper did not retire at all.
Well, maybe he retired and then he was coaxed back out. It wasn't publicized.
I mean, if he did, it was a very, very brief retirement for Mel Kiper, like a couple of nights. This was a cat that swore up and down that Jamarcus Russell was going to be the next John Elway at one point. This was the guy that put on blast Andre Wadsworth was going to be better than Peyton Manning. You get the idea.
So why is he still there? Is it the hair? Why is he still there? Is it because of the emotion that he puts into his picks? I mean, does he get more right than he gets wrong?
You know, I honestly, and this is not me trying to not answer or protect, because obviously I'm not trying to protect Mel Kiper Jr. I'm literally putting him on blast in this segment. I don't know the answer to that great one. I don't. I guess they just haven't found anybody better at this point. I don't know if it's that. I don't know if I got a sneaky suspicion. Part of it is because the ESPN way over the years has morphed away from let's get a bunch of guys and gals that have genuinely good takes and turned into let's get a bunch of guys and gals who have controversial, polarizing takes, right? Like I had a conversation over the weekend where I once again had to explain to someone, it does not matter if you tweet negatively about that one guy. Now, I'm not going to tell you which one guy it is, but I know him personally. It is not going to matter if you tweet negatively about that guy. If you tweet at that guy to tell that guy how big of an idiot that guy is, because all that's going to register is that you interacted with them.
Apparently, every year since it seems that Google was invented, people have Googled that question. And multiple years that I've found had him at right around 25%.
Of what? Getting his predictions
picks
right?
Being accurate per year.
Picks in terms of this is who they're taking, or in terms of this guy is going to turn into blank? Like, because I mean,
his mock drafts.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I mean, a mock draft is you predicting what a team is going to take.
Yeah. Listen. I could take or leave a guy's accuracy on a mock draft. Because, again, I know zero people who predicted that the Jacksonville Jaguars were trading up to go get Travis Hunter.
But he's an expert.
I understand.
So what they're saying is 25% is what they believe is good enough in an expert. I could be 25% on a lot of things. That means I'm an expert.
No,
apparently.
I think again, for me, the thing is I do not care about your accuracy in a mock draft. I just don't, because there are 32 general managers and they all interact with each other and they all influence each other. Picking a mock draft correct is kind of like picking, the March Madness bracket. Yeah, we can come in here and have a good time and talk about how big, smart basketball boys we are and yada, yada, yada. But at the end of the day, it's crapshoot. What I am more concerned about,
Vegas is at that.
What I am more concerned about is not the mock drafts. What I am more concerned about is the player evaluations. Is what are you telling me about this player that makes him interesting, not interesting, whatever? And I will say that I don't know that there is a way to know what Mel Kiper's record as far as, this guy is going to be blank at the next level. He's going to be an all-pro. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. He's going to be a, 2-3-time Pro Bowler. He's going to wash out, not the right guy. Here's what I do know. What I do know is that Friday night and Saturday listening to Mel Kiper Jr. this year, I'm not saying every year, but this year was insufferable. Because it was it wasn't the NFL draft. It was the Shedeur Sanders draft extravaganza.
Which is why I like listening to Odyssey's own Rich Eisen.
Absolutely. I watch all the channels, not equally. Some get more time than others. I flip around channels. I flip around radio stations. Like I told you last week, I really enjoy tuning into Odyssey stations in the cities that are on the clock and right after their picks to hear the freakouts / exuberance of hosts from around the country. The Mel Kiper Jr. thing this year specifically. And again, I don't mind a guy being confident in his predictions. I do it all the time. The difference is when I get one wrong, I like to think more often than not. I come in here and I grab this mic and I go, I screwed that one up, guys. Sorry about that. My bad. Bad read. That's on me. Versus Mel, who said, if Jimmy Clausen's not a Hall of Famer, I'll retire, and then didn't do that. I'm not even mad about that. I'm not going to call the guy out for that. What I am going to say is watching Friday night, watching Saturday night was excruciating when I hear a dude go, 32 general managers in the NFL are awful at evaluating quarterbacks. I've got it figured out. When very clearly you don't. And for the record, I don't think you can. I think you can take college film. You can say he does this good, this good, this good, this bad, this bad, this bad. And when we average all those things together, we think he is or is not worth a draft pick at this position. And then you put him on an NFL football field and you see what the hell happens. But my goodness, to live with the absolute audacious self-confidence of a Mel Kiper Jr. must be lovely. Must be amazing. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Yeah. That's the take right there. If Mel were an actually elite talent evaluator, he'd be paid all the money by some NFL team to evaluate the. Yes, that's exactly it. I wonder what Mel Kiper makes from ESPN. I wonder if that's ever been made available. I mean, it ain't. I'm sure it ain't cheap. I'm sure he's getting paid. Details of his current contract are not publicly available. His initial contract with ESPN was for $400. I don't need that. I need his current.
was released following the 2023 season and opted to sit out last year. Download the Odyssey app, search the fan update, and listen anywhere on your phone.
ZipRecruiter estimates a range of 45,955 to 215,591 annually. Those are just estimates, but ZipRecruiter, I think, probably pretty good at it. I'm guessing he makes a lot more than that, though. How's he not making at least $1 million or in the millions when they're paying everybody else and he's a long-time personality? I mean, what do the guys on game day make who are not named Pat McAfee?
Pat's doing okay.
Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution.
I guess it can't be very much because, you know, a couple of those guys have to do other jobs, like Kirk Herbstreit having to, you know, do all his jobs.
Well, some of us just like to work. I think Kurt might be a workaholic.
College game day host Chris Fowler earns an estimated $3 million annually.
I'll do it for 1.5, ESPN. Same job.
Today by visiting us online at tra.com or call 800-575-6812. That's 800-575-6812. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many
Herbstreit's salary around $18 million per year since signing with Amazon.
With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new
Before signing with Amazon, supposedly his his value estimated at only $12 million.
And the keeper of all things cool in the sports world.
Final segment of the Rob Brown Show starts now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rob Brown, the Great One, Lonzo, and you. I'm not going to finish the entire segment on it, but I do have a couple of audio clips from what we were just talking about. I'll go with this one. This is the rant that happened about 3 picks after Shedeur came off the board. This is Louis Riddick. This is Reese Davis and others on the desk.
Quickly, offensive line, that's critical for Shedeur. Said it when Tom Brady was taken. The offensive line's got to protect him. He's got to have that fortress in front of him, as Brady did, allowed him to have that success. You think about what he had at Colorado. He dealt with adversity. He dealt with a muddy pocket. He done it with everything NFL conditions lead you to have to deal with once you get to the pro level. Then you think about the character. I think this is the misperception. I think the fact of the matter is Deion was a great teammate. Deion practiced hard. They loved him in the NFL. They loved him with the Atlanta Braves in Major League Baseball. Shedeur, he will galvanize. He'll be that kind of guy. So again, the offensive line, if you're talking about the Cleveland Browns, that's the issue, guys. If they can protect them, obviously get the weapons, but up front is where they got to be strong. Allow him to do his job, and he will be a surgeon. He will pick you apart. I mean, you give him short time. He sees the field. He's accurate to all levels, and he is a tremendous competitor, incredibly tough. So again, durable, having all the hits he took and never got hurt. Okay, and he never running game. Not mention offensive line. He had no running game. So he was out there, and he led them to a winning year. He led them to an upset over TCU when he first got there, first game. Then the wheels came off. That Stanford game when the second half lead was won at the half. Shedeur Sanders, to me, when you talk about the locker room, the players around him, they love him. Now, the perception from others outside, based on what there's the noise, maybe they didn't like what they heard. I don't know how it was handled. You get all the word about this, that. You think, well, they're just trying to hurt Shedeur. Teams are still throwing it out there. You don't know what was true, what wasn't. How Deion's going to operate. Deion's going to stay out of it. That's going to be calling or threatening any coaches or saying, or there'll be a threat that Deion could take over. Deion's not happy. Deion's not going to say anything. Deion's going to coach Colorado. So a lot of this stuff, I think, just made no sense to me. Kind of the negativity you heard over the last couple months.
So there's, I don't know where it comes from, right? Like that's all. It is fair. It is very fair for Mel Kiper Jr. to speculate all of those things. Oh, Deion's not going to get involved, except for he spent the offseason saying he was, right? Like he spent the offseason saying he was. There was a clip that was going around on Saturday, fair or not, that was being used to justify why teams passed on him. And it was Deion on a talk show saying when the host of the talk show asked him, "Will you get involved in where he plays?" And Deion was like, "Yeah, why wouldn't I? I've been there. I've done that. I've got the experience. Why would I not serve as his GPS going into the league?" He said he's going to get involved. So I don't have a problem with teams going, forget that. Now, I want to take it one more step because Louis Riddick was kind of firing back at Mel Kiper Jr., and I thought it was a very interesting conversation.
This is not about can you play the position. This is about, do we want you to play the position for us? That's what this game.
Why wouldn't they, Lou?
Well, look, that's a whole nother discussion that we've had in many different ways for weeks
I would say
and
that
months now.
This is not one of the toughest quarterbacks you've
But Mel, this isn't about. This isn't about quarterback traits and quarterback characteristics, personal football character. That's not about this. This is personal.
Has he had an off the field issue? No, he has not.
Mel, you don't have to sell it to me.
No, I don't know what we're talking about here.
You're right. You're right. Yes, you're right. But you know what? But Mel, the draft has spoken.
That's right. That's the key, Mel. It's not putting a value judgment on whether those who passed were right or wrong. They did. Yep. So now, whenever you're in circumstances in life, whether you like them, whether you don't like them, whether they're fair or whether they're unfair, you might have to deal with them.
That's
and
right.
now Shedeur Sanders has to deal with
everything.
And for whatever reason, whether he played a minute, microscopic percentage, 0%, or it's a legitimate criticism of the way he conducted himself during the draft process, this was the result.
Yeah.
Now he has an opportunity to answer it. I think yelling at the NFL about it is not.
There's not a quarterback. Boomer Esiason was not happy when he was the second.
All right, so then Mel goes on this thing about how Boomer wasn't happy being in the second round and Brady wasn't happy being in the sixth round and how all these great quarterbacks were drafted well below what you would say their draft pick worth would have been, with hindsight being 2020 at the end of their careers. And that's all well and good. The most interesting thing about that for me had to be, Lonzo, Reese Davis in the middle of that thing going full authoritarian on his own show, right? Like him just talking. You don't hear Reese Davis aggressively talk over people. He's a center of the desk host. He's a dude that sits in the middle and he addresses and he sets everybody else up. For him to straight up commandeer and out loud everybody else at that table tells me it was getting a little bit off the rails, which I find interesting. But there was one more piece to this puzzle that I found kind of interesting in that first clip. And then I think later in that second clip, you hear the ding, 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 which is the old "the pick is in" sounder, yeah? That means here in just a minute from now, somebody's going to walk out of that stage, grab that microphone, or they're going to play a clip on TV that is going to be some French lady on top of the Eiffel Tower telling me my New Orleans Saints selected a linebacker, right? And we spent a lot of time so dialed in on Shedeur Sanders that a lot of these other cats that got drafted were just kind of like throwaway conversations. And I guess, honestly, I was more frustrated with that. The Shedeur debate, fine. I get it. It's compelling. It's interesting. It's entertaining. Let's be real. It's all of us trying to say, I know ball and I know this is what's going to happen. And here is what's happening, right? Like that's going to be what it is. And that's fine. In fact, not only is that fine, Frankly, I think it's kind of fun, to be honest with you. Frankly, I think it's kind of fun. I think it's a fun conversation. I think it's an interesting conversation. I think it kind of gives us all the opportunity to prove that we're big, smart ball knowers. The problem I had wasn't the ongoing Shedeur conversation. It's the fact that for Thursday, certainly, for Friday, certainly, and then on past round 5, into round 6 and round 7, it was like all we talked about, right? It was like that was the only conversation. I got Mel Kiper Jr. and Reese Davis and Louis Riddick over here. I got Pat and Mike McCarthy over here. I got Greenberg and his crew over here. And all they're doing is discussing and debating Shedeur. And again, I get it. It's sports talk. It's a polarizing conversation. It's supposed to be polarizing. That's what we get asked to do. We get asked to discuss, debate. We get asked to be polarizing. That's the discussion. And that's fine. But when the Saints pick a lineman who's like a 2-time All-SEC player for Oklahoma, and I mean, I know who he is, but I'd like some thoughts on him. And instead they go, yeah, New Orleans selected Danny Sussman. That's fine. So how do you feel about you know what I mean? Like, am I making too much out of this? Was anybody else as bothered by it as I was?
It appears that the media as a whole have been very upset about Mel Kiper's behavior to the point that they're acting the same way that he was about Shedeur. That's just an observation.
In that we're spending so much time talking about him?
Yes. It's an excessive amount of talking about a guy who's just doing his job. I mean, and here's the thing, if you don't like how he's talking, you just pointed out several different venues that you can turn away from that and go watch something else.
I mean, that is very fair and accurate, and I'm good with all of that. But I would also throw out there that
I only know about all this because you played the clips and because I've heard on every single show it being talked about what he was doing and how he was acting, because I don't watch them anymore because I've never thought he was that accurate. I've never liked his insight. And his hair annoys me. That's not a joke. It just does. But I've always found him annoying. And as soon as NFL Network started doing it, I went over there. And if I couldn't watch NFL Network, I probably would have watched McAfee. But I rarely watch ESPN because Mel Kiper is so annoying. And I think people you're just discovering, hey, this guy's annoying. Wow, surprise.
I'm good with that. I understand it. You're not wrong. The issue was not just that it was Mel. The issue was also that it felt like that was every channel. Like it felt like you couldn't, if you wanted to watch draft coverage with people talking about the guy that your team or your rival or whatever just selected, you had to go to the local stuff because everything, and I guess I'm doing it right now too, so I guess I'm part of the problem, but like, I don't know, just everywhere was, but what about Shedeur and Dion? And it just got to, if we want to talk about that on Monday when the draft is over, cool, I'm good with that. In fact, I did it. But like, somebody just got picked, man. Like somebody just got picked by the Falcons. I got to play this guy twice a year for the rest of my life. What's he going to be? Tell me about that.
And now the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter.
I was letting your last word linger for effect. That's why
You have to let it linger.
All right, let's get to what is Xing with the wonderful music background provided by Rob Brown. The first thing that's Xing is LeBron James.
Got me wrapped around your finger. Do you have to let it linger? Do you have to? Cranberries, man, they're awesome. LeBron James is Xing because of yesterday's contest in which LeBron actually had a pretty good game, but End of that game came down to a foul that was definitely a foul, and I know it was a foul. You know how it was a foul? Because the NBA stuck a Hawkeye camera up on top of the goal that looks down and records in super slow motion, and they were able to correctly record that LeBron James did indeed commit a foul. Now, LeBron afterwards skipping around going, oh, y'all decide to, and I'm going to try to quote it, it's pretty close, but he said, y'all decide to call that dumb bull now?
Yeah, if you watch the game, that kind of stuff was going on the entire game.
Oh, it was
and
chippy.
they swallowed their whistles, and they found them right at the end where it would affect the game.
Yep, that is exactly correct. And again, as guy who is team robo-ump, that's frustrating because if you're going to go human element, fine. But if at the absolute bare bleeping minimum, be consistent, right? Like, be consistent. I was watching, because I'm a masochist, Yankees Blue Jays yesterday. And I have never been so mad in my life. The umpire was calling strikes, ball strikes for the Yankees, but not for the Blue Jays, to the point that even the TV crew started superimposing pitches over each other to point out that Kevin Gossman threw the same ball in the exact same spot as Max Fried. Max Fried got multiple strikes. Kevin Gossman got none on the same pitch. It was unbelievable. If you're going to tell me the human element is important enough to keep bad officials in there, at least be bad consistently.
All right, the next thing is Xing is Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun Watson is Xing because obviously as the Cleveland Browns have added not one but two quarterbacks to the quarterback room during the National Football League draft. A lot of NFL fans are asking what next because he is still on that roster. It's very simple. The Browns are trying to figure out a way not to pay Deshaun Watson. Either they'll find one and they won't pay him, or they won't find one and they will pay him. Either way, Deshaun Watson is never playing another down for the Cleveland Browns. It is going to be Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, or Shedeur Sanders next year. Good luck, C-Town.
It's going to be interesting watching that play out. All right, the next thing that's Xing is Eric Bischoff.
I don't know what it's about, but apparently Bischoff and Hulk Hogan have some sort of social media video together that they just released.
Yeah, a couple of them. It's still up in the air, and there's something about a third man. So we don't know who the third man is.
To Eric, Terry, and the third man, respectfully, no thank you. Whatever it is, no thank you. Whatever it is, I'm good, bro.
Probably has something to do with his beer, I'm guessing.
I'm good.
All right, the next thing that's Xing is a gorilla.
I actually do know what this one's about. There is a conversation happening on the internet right now because, dude's gonna dude. Could 100 grown men successfully take down a silverback gorilla? And it's people that are addressing it like, you got your bros who were like, yeah, bro, me and 100 of my bros, we could totally do it, dude. And then you got other dudes. One guy asked the question earlier that I found absolutely hilarious. He said, yo, when the silverback pops the head off the first bro who attacks, who's the next bro that's going to be like, all right, take one for the team here, boys?
Well,
none of you could beat a gorilla.
I'm guessing this is a situation, a do or die situation. So you got 100 guys against a gorilla. The smart move is to not do let's fight them one at a time. It's to World War Z them. Then maybe you got a shot. I mean, that's the only way. If you're going to go in a couple guys at a time, you're going to get beat. But if everyone swarms, maybe you can do it.
Yeah, I mean, the reality of this is, because I think what a lot of people have thought is you could dogpile them, like swarm them, send 50 dudes. Here's the problem. It does not matter that you dogpile, right? Because as many people as you can get in a mound over the top of a gorilla where your weight's actually pushing down on the gorilla can lift that many people, right? Like you would have to go like dudes stacked on top of dudes, stacked on top of dudes, straight up like 12 dudes before you even get close to what a silverback gorilla can pick up. You cannot physically stack that many dudes on top of each other in order to make this happen. No, the silverback's winning that fight 100% of the time.
See, I just got to believe that maybe there's a shot in there for humanity, but I'm an optimist like that.
No, if the Planet of the Apes becomes a thing and the gorillas become aware and decide they're done with zoos and they're just coming for us.
Well, they don't all live in zoo. I mean, there's a bunch out there in the wild.
Well,
but I get what you're
correct,
saying.
but there's none around me, and
in
that's all
order
I'm
to
worried
take
about.
over the city, they have to come from the zoo.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Now, I would also say, if you start adding guns into the equation, yeah, we get the advantage back. But if it's just hand-to-hand, man-to-gorilla contact, yeah, we're winning. Or they're winning. Sorry. All right, that's it for us. Have a great rest of your day. Appreciate you being here. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you didn't, you have bad taste in radio. Come back tomorrow. We'll try again. He's Lonzo. I'm Rob. Don't drink a job. I'll punch you in the face. See you tomorrow on The Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Later.
What are we doing?
This may be the day.
All right, dudes, we got a jet because I got weekend work. Thanks for being here. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you didn't, sorry. I'll try harder tomorrow. Goodbye.